How's it going, folks? Welcome to another fun at-home table read. Tonight, we're jumping into an odd one, to say the very least. A Bizarro film written by Bob Gordon. If you don't know him, he's one of the writers for Galaxy Quest, the series of unfortunate events movie, and Men in Black 2. So he's got some fun titles to his name. We're going to jump right in here and introduce our cast.
Hi, I'm Mary. I will be doing action description.
Hey, I'm Johnny, and me am Bizarro.
Hi, I'm Anne, and I am filling in for Lois Lane.
Hey, I'm Curtis. I'm playing Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen.
I'm Eric. I'm playing Perry White.
Oh, wait, is this my cue? Sorry. My bad. Sorry. I'm a Zoom virgin, so there's that. My name is Patrick, and I'm very glad to be here, and I'm playing Spencer.
I'm Logan, and I'm playing Zod.
I am Jen, and I'm Ursa.
All right, well, Mary Pat, take us away.
Bizarro. Interior, Pentagon, briefing room day. A military analyst debriefs a panel of military and government officials, including the Secretary of State, National Security Advisor, and various generals and admirals.
Before we begin, let me emphasize that there was only one living witness to the event, and that witness was only a boy at the time. My department has done its best to connect the dots, but I'd still caution you to take everything I present with a measure of cynicism.
But the big guy was there.
Yes, but he refuses to discuss it.
Why?
Perhaps you'd like to interrogate him on that subject, Admiral.
The Admiral looks down. No, he wouldn't.
Here's what we have gathered. Professor Mays Dalton was working in his makeshift laboratory on a device intended originally to replicate foodstuffs for impoverished nations. The device was yielding unexpected results.
Interior, Mays Dalton's garage laboratory day. A scientist, Mays Dalton, operates a control which rotates a complex telescoping apparatus. An aiming laser is beamed from the front. The beam comes to a rest on a large diamond clamped to a pedestal. The scientist makes a notation, then reaches a pole, a high voltage electrical lever. Just then, his son Spencer, a toddler, wanders in the path of beam, idly picking his nose. Panicked, the scientist yanks the switch upward before the device fires.
Spencer, get away from there. What did I tell you?
Sorry, I had to go to the bathroom, but I don't anymore.
The scientist takes his son by the hand and sets him on a tall lab chair.
I told you, stay in the chair or you have to go in the house, okay?
Spencer nods. The scientist goes back to the lever and pulls it. A purple beam shoots from the device into the diamond, which glows and vibrates. He turns to Spencer.
What's your guess?
A diamond would be? Maybe something to eat? Soft, maybe like gum?
Let's see.
The scientist and Spencer lean forward to see. The diamond vibrates furiously until two objects appear in its place and clatter into the dish below. We see that what now, in addition to the original diamond, a walnut rolls in the dish.
A walnut! Well, I was part right.
The scientist throws him the walnut. Spencer cracks it on the table and eats it.
It's not a very good duplicator, is it, Dad?
No, but it's an excellent something.
Spencer swings his legs bored as the scientist scribbles this result in his notebook.
What's next?
The scientist looks at a cage containing a hamster. A label identifies him as Sammy.
Oh no, not Sammy.
He's a scientist, son. He wants this as much as we do.
Spencer looks dubious, but hey, you can't stop a hamster scientist. Then he turns, his attention drawn to something out the window.
What's that in the sky? It's not a bird, I don't think.
He tips his chair back to get a better look.
A plane, maybe?
The chair's front legs tip off the floor. Out the window, we see a streak of light in the sky coming towards us, a figure in red and blue.
At that moment, he was traveling to stop a railroad collision in Munich. Every indication is that the incident was just a freak accident.
Interior garage. The scientist focuses the beam on the hamster. Restless, Spencer leans back to get a better look out the window. Then the legs of the stool tilt precariously off the ground just as the scientist pulls the switch. The beam shoots forward into the hamster. Suddenly, the scientist turns as screech. The legs slide out from under Spencer. He dips backwards, headfirst towards the hard floor. The scientist dives for him, catching Spencer before impact, but his coat catches on the device and it swings skyward. In the sky, Superman, distant angle, soars right into the beam and tumbles, blinded and disoriented. Interior garage. As the scientists run to study the beam, Spencer runs to the window and looks up. Note, throughout the following, we never see Superman in full, just a boot, a piece of a cape, a blue and red speck in the distance.
It hit Superman.
What? Oh no.
He runs to the window. Spencer's point of view. We're so far off we cannot make out the details. Superman is simply a glowing speck in the sky, but then we notice another speck peeling from his body, a figure falling to the earth.
Uh-oh. It made another one?
The figure falls, grasping at the sky like a bird being born mid-flight that hasn't learned how to fly, then crash. It plunges straight into the house like an anvil. Behind the garage door from inside the house, we hear rustling. Whatever fell is alive.
Wait here.
The scientist opens the door, leading into the house, closing the door behind him.
Dad, no!
We hear a roar, then a scream, then the sound of a struggle as Spencer watches the door. Then silence.
Dad? Dad?
Suddenly, the door splinters. A figure stands silhouetted in the doorway. Something huge and misshapen and...
Superman! Help! Superman!
The figure moves forward from the shadows. Now we see he wears the familiar blue tights, a red cape hanging off his shoulders, misshapen, monstrous, wild-eyed, a backwards S on his chest. Meet Bizarro.
Me am Superman?
Superman!
Me am Superman. Who am he?
He follows Spencer's look up to Superman in the sky, then launches upward in an interception course. Boardroom.
Oh, sorry. Me am Superman?
Yes, sir. That's what it said, sir. Me am Superman. We believe the duplication gave the creature fragments of Superman's actual memories.
Murmuring from the table.
After that, details are sketchy. The sight of the monster, the death of his father. The boy has no memory of the events past this point. This is what we were able to piece together.
We see it projected, a grainy, telescopic view of a battle between Superman and Bizarro. Again, Superman is never fully seen and always partially obscured by Bizarro and the objects between them. Bizarro hurls himself straight into Superman, who is thrown back through the atmosphere into space.
The fight went into space. These are from various sources. Hubble amateur photography. As you can see, the battle was extremely fierce. The duplicate seemed to have all of Superman's strength, if not his finesse.
Various photos of the battle are passed around. They look almost like grainy action scenes from the comics. Superman and the Beasts are waged superhuman battle in the cosmos, tossing asteroids at each other, chasing through the rings of Saturn, hurling each other into the moon.
Why? Why did he go after Superman?
What if someone walked in here right now insisting he was you, General? In this creature's mind, Superman was an imposter, a liar, a threat. Plus, let's remember, that device turned a diamond into a walnut.
We pan up to the screen where we see a grainy footage of a figure dropping limp back to the atmosphere. It's Bizarro, defeated and falling back to Earth. Immediately afterward, a huge meteor appears falling through the atmosphere directly above Bizarro's lifeless body.
Okay, so here, after Superman defeated him, the monster fell back to Earth. The Aegean Sea, to be specific.
What's that above him?
A meteor, Mr. Secretary.
Bizarro hits the water. Cut to underwater. No more grainy footage from this point on. This is the real thing. Poor Bizarro sinks down, down, down into the sea. Right above him, the huge round meteor hits the water, sinks slowly down directly above him.
Why throw a meteor on top of him if he was already dead?
We believe Superman simply desired to give him a proper burial.
Finally, Bizarro comes to rest at the bottom of the ocean. His eyes are sad and resigned. He almost looks conscious. We see the giant spear above him from his point of view as it grows closer and closer and larger and larger. Womp. The meteor comes to rest on top of him, sinking in a ways deep into the ocean floor.
And that, gentleman, closes the file on event 837-AC-91.
Title card, 10 years later. Interior Perry White's office, the Daily Planet. A newspaper is thrown on the desk. The headline reads, "Pickpocket arrested." There's a photo of the culprit looking ashamed. Dean, I present your cameo. Continued. A bottle of scotch and a glass is set on the paper. A drink is poured. We pull back to reveal Perry White at his desk. He looks miserable.
I've been around a long time. I've reported on wars, natural disasters, supervillains, mass murders. I mean, I've been blessed. So what did I do to deserve this? Pickpocket arrested on the front page? How did the world come to this?
We cut to the two figures he's talking to, Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen.
Hey, Superman took care of everything before he left. All the major criminals are in jail. He picks up the infrastructure and world affairs. But those laser sentries around the seaport did a ton of work before he left, so we've been in good shape for a while.
As he speaks, we see a quick montage of the improvements Jimmy describes. Exterior Metropolis jail. A cell door slams on a grimacing criminals. Exterior bridge. A ribbon is cut on a gleaming new bridge spanning the river and traffic begins to cross. Exterior seaport, naval base. A seagull flies a little too close to the naval base and a dozen of laser sentries telescope up from the ground and target him with dots. The poor seagull. The seagull claws and flies away. Back to scene. Continued.
Everything's great, Mr. White. Isn't that a good thing?
Not for a newspaper, it's not. Lois, you're uncharacteristically quiet. Why?
Because I'm losing my mind.
There, Olsen, see? Now that's a newsman.
Oh, she's got other problems. Her boyfriend Clark is overseas, and I think she's just really super horny.
Lois shoots him a "don't you dare" look.
Tense. A little tense.
I can deal with human interest stories, okay? Biggest rubber band ball, fine. Puppy tiles, great. I hold my nose, I type. What I can't take is everyone screaming, "We need Superman! We're Superman!" every time they stub their freaking toe. I mean, he's spiraling and reforming a galaxy and spiraling into a black hole, and I don't know, trillions of lives is taken. The first time someone loses a cat up a tree, they're angry at Superman for leaving them. The selfish city doesn't deserve Superman.
She snaps her pencil.
I'm just saying, maybe a foot massage or something.
Beat. Suddenly, a junior reporter runs into the room out of breath.
Mr. White, a school bus full of children is teetering off the North Side Bridge.
Great.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Good God.
Exterior North Street Bridge Day. Lois and Jimmy Olsen exit their car and push through the crowd.
You've got film, right?
I'll pretend you didn't ask that.
Jimmy, the way things are going, this is the story of a decade. I just want to make sure we get it. Press, Come on, clear the way. Clear the way. Out.
Lois and Jimmy push through the crowd to see the bus. It's actually not teetering, just the front wheel is hanging over the side, and it's in no danger whatsoever of tipping. Lois' face falls, disappointed.
That's it. That's not teetering.
She walks up to the bus. Inside, the kids are hysterical.
Superman! Help us!
You're not teetering. This isn't teetering. Just walk off the bus.
We're going to die, Superman.
God, you don't need Superman. Well, there's the door. Just walk off the bus.
The kids keep yelling.
I've had it. You want teetering? Okay, I'll give you teetering.
She moves to the back of the bus and starts to push.
Lois, what are you doing?
I'm getting the story.
You're trying to push a busload of kids off a bridge, just FYI.
Lois stops, realizes what she's doing, straightens her skirt, and somehow regains her poise.
I think maybe I should take a day or two off.
You think?
You think? Exterior beach day. Lois is in her swimsuit, lies flat on the back on the sand, completely miserable. Her feet tap together, her fingers tap the sand. It doesn't look like the vacation is helping a bit. A ridiculously tan guy in a Speedo next to her keeps glancing over. And at the risk of stating the obvious, Lois is extremely attractive in her swimsuit. Tan guy is getting ready to make his move when Lois speaks to him first.
Just tell me, what do you expect to get out of this? Just lying there, lying here.
It's relaxing, nothing to go on, just zone out your brain.
And that's appealing to you? That's something you get enjoyment from, having nothing going on in your head?
You just seem to be clicking. We should have dinner and see where it goes.
Lois, of course, ignores this and looks out to sea. She sees, out at sea, a small fishing boat on the horizon. Back to Lois. She crinkles her nose. Something strikes her odd about the boat. She reaches for her cell and dials a number. Cut to point of view through binoculars. A closer view of the small weathered fishing boat. A half dozen crewmen flank the deck. A goateed man, the captain, scans the horizon. Exterior, Jimmy Olsen's speedboat. Lois is holding the binoculars as she and Jimmy speed across the ocean in a pristine and powerful watercraft. Jimmy shouts over the engines.
No nets. Why would a fishing boat head out to sea with no nets?
Lois, I've got to get this back to the consumer section by 3 o'clock.
Oh, and look at the wake. It's huge. Isn't it huge for a fishing boat?
You're not great with vacations, are you?
Obviously. Exterior fishing boat. Now on board the fishing boat, we get a closer look at the captain. His perfectly manicured goatee and regal demeanor are completely out of place for a fishing boat captain. This is because he is really General Zod, the Kryptonian supervillain turned mortal by Superman in Superman 2. He turns to his first mate, a woman with short, dark hair, beautiful, severe looking. This is Ursa, his sadistic / incredibly sexy cohort.
How much further?
She types into a custom-made BlackBerry type device, receives a response.
Navigation estimates 1,500 kilometers.
2 Chinese men approach. They're dressed as fishermen as well, but their rings and expensive glasses clearly betray their disguise. They are all business. Their English slightly stiff. We call them financiers 1 and 2.
Is there a signal?
Not yet.
We should have had a signal by now.
Another wild goose chase.
Patience, gentlemen. Patience.
Our patience is at an end. We are terminating the search.
Ursa turns, her eyes burning. Zod holds her back.
We'll continue the search as planned.
Don't you understand? There are no more funds. We are turning back, and you will pay for leading us to ruin with your promises.
The financiers draw guns and nod to the three thugs behind them, who also draw guns. Zod sighs, what an annoyance. Then, suddenly, a soft ping, ping, ping signal sounds from the device in Ursa's hand.
They found it 100 kilometers.
Let me see.
She tilts the BlackBerry screen his way without even acknowledging him. Financier 1 lets down his guard, lowers his gun, and laughs, relieved. Then the others follow suit.
You heard them, Ursa. The money has run dry. We can terminate the relationship.
Yes, General Zod.
Zod turns and starts to walk away, leaving Ursa with the men. The businessmen are still laughing, celebrating.
What did he say?
General Zod. Who is Zod? Hey, did you call Doug Smith by the name of... Ow!
He screams because Ursa has snapped his spine with her knee. We're still on Zod's face, tracking with him as he continues forward to the center of the boat, and can only see bits and pieces of the carnage behind him as Ursa snaps necks and cracks bones, leaving the 5 businessmen bodies in piles on the ground. We follow Zod as he climbs a hatch below deck, revealing interior fishing boat interior. Redundant. An impossibly vast, high-tech operations chamber. Dozens of technicians and seamen scurry about.
Double our speed. I want to be at sight within the hour.
We pull up, above the boat, high enough to see the shimmering outline of the enormous vessel below. Just beneath the surface, the fishing boat is merely the tip of the iceberg. Exterior, Jimmy Olsen's boat. The boat is practically hydroplaning to keep up with the fishing boat.
Just a fishing boat. How can they be going this fast?
I don't know, but going further, we're not going to have gas to get back.
Lois holds up her binoculars. The fishing boat is no longer visible.
All right. Turn it around.
Jimmy turns the boat back around towards land. Lois looks behind her, still puzzled. Exterior, far behind the sea later, a cylindrical canister is lowered on a shimmering purple cable. We follow it down as it passes through a school of fish, past divers holding underwater flares, and finally is caught by 2 divers sitting on a large round surface at the bottom of the ocean. As the divers unhook the canister from its line, we pull back to reveal the huge meteorite, now covered by barnacles and undersea plant life. A dozen divers surround the rock, 3 of them using a huge drill to bore a hole in the side of the meteorite. We pan down to 2 more divers who are digging a tunnel underneath the meteorite. We follow one of the divers inside the cramped tunnel where he uses a vacuum to draw out dirt, scooping more out with his hands. Suddenly, he feels something through the dirt.
I think I found something. Wait, I think...
He uses the vacuum and brushes the dirt, revealing Bizarro's large foot.
It's a foot!
Copy, did you say foot?
Interior, exploration ship. Back in the main vessel, Zod turns to Ursa and smiles.
Attach the mercurotide line to the ankle.
I thought we were looking for Zod.
And we found it. Team 2, have you mounted the explosives?
Underwater at the meteor. The divers have inserted the canister into the hole bored into the meteorite's side.
There.
Go ahead and initiate. We have more than enough time on the countdown.
The demolition tech triggers the switch. A steady beep, beep, beep sounds the countdown.
Wait, I don't get this, Zod. Any explosive big enough to rip apart this rock is going to incinerate whoever's attached to this foot.
Let me worry about that.
I'll give you something else to worry about. No explosive that size is going to do a thing to this rock. I tried to tell you, you need a nuke to blow this thing apart.
Which is why I brought a nuke.
The divers all exchange glances. What the hell?
Are you insane? All crews, pack it up now. Zod, how much time do we have to execute the theme?
About 25 seconds.
You said we had plenty of time.
I said we had plenty of time.
Why, Zod? Why?
Because you know my name.
On the deck, Zod nods to Ursa, who triggers a switch. We hear machinery gearing up as Ursa joins him on a small platform in the center of the boat. Then, with a loud engine sound, the fishing boat opens up right down the middle like a giant hatch, and a helicopter is revealed rising on a hydraulic pad underwater.
Everyone out! Everyone out! You, Davis! Why aren't you moving?
With empty eyes, Davis simply looks up from the nuke timer, which reads 4, 3, 2, and shakes his head. What's the use? As boom, a blinding flash obliterates all. Exterior ocean. Jimmy's boat is within sight of the shore. Lois and Jimmy jump at the sound of the distant explosion.
What the hell?
They turn to see far, far in the distance, a small mushroom cloud rising from the center of the ocean.
Think it's some kind of test.
There's going to be a wave.
What?
There's going to be a big wave.
She looks through her binoculars. The wave generated from the blast rises on the horizon and is moving towards them fast.
We gotta try to get to shore.
She looks back to shore.
No, it's too far. Go that way.
She motions towards the wave.
That way? The wave way?
It's still a swell. If we can get to it before it starts to crest, we'll go right over it.
How do you know?
I went boogie boarding as a kid. Come on, floor it.
She helps spin the wheel and they head towards the wall of water.
This isn't right. This isn't right.
Lois takes out a small dictation recorder as the boat roars towards the wave.
All right, sorry. Okay, Perry, here's the story. There was a blast, perhaps nuclear, that preceded the wave. There was a suspicious fishing boat with the marking of Lazarus on the side.
What are you doing?
In case we don't make it.
I thought you were boogie boarding.
Oh my God.
The wave begins to crest. She steps on the foot, pushing the accelerator. Vroom.
That's
Wider
not how
angle.
boats work. Not how boats work. There's a handle for that.
It's so true. The speedboat is a tiny dot climbing up the wall of water, and yet it seems possible that they could possibly survive as long as the water doesn't start to curl back on them, or she's using the foot pedal.
Come on. Come on. Must go faster. Must go faster. Don't curl. Don't curl. Don't curl.
Their point of view, the water starts to curl over. Jimmy closes his eyes, his head low on the wheel, bracing himself as the head into the curl at the top.
Hurling.
They punch through the top. The speedboat goes flying straight up into the air, 20 feet.
Oh!
Then the boat turns nose down and falls, catching the back of the swell and gently gliding down the back of the enormous wave. They watch as the wave crashes to shore, thankfully short of the city proper. It's quiet. Lois turns to Jimmy as they bob in the water.
Who said?
I didn't say anything.
Interior helicopter. Ursa pilots the helicopter. Nod looks out the window, a peaceful smile on his face.
Soon, Ursa. we will have our powers again.
Then, my
Then.
general,
She smiles a sickly, sadistic smile that is more chilling than anything she could put into the world. Except maybe.
I love these humans, general. They have nerve endings everywhere.
That's not creepy at all. Zod smiles, gazing down out of the helicopter, looking down the length of the cable spooled from the hydraulic winch.
We thought of everything before, or he thought of everything before he left. Everything but you poor wretched thing.
We pull back to see Bizarro hanging by his ankle 10 feet below at the other end of the cable as the helicopter swoops a wide turn away from the water and flies inland. Cut to black. Fade in Bizarro's dream point of view. We see dreamy fragments of Superman's memories as seen through Bizarro's dreams. They're all in first person point of view. We never see Superman himself. Point of view, we're running through a cornfield alongside a train. A kid in the train spots us and his eyes go wide. We wave at the boy. Point of view, we're flying towards a crippled airliner, its engine on fire. We fly under the wing to stabilize it. The pilot looks at us, surprised and relieved, gives us a thumbs up. Point of view, we're playing with Superdog Crypto, tug of war with a heavy chain. The dog's red cape flaps behind him, his tail wags. Everyone loves us. We transition out to Bizarro's sleeping face. He smiles, relishing his dreamy memories of heroism and appreciation and companionship.
All right, try again. Heartbeat.
Still 1 per hour, general.
Try 500 million volts. That should do the trick.
Darkness, then voltage. Blue streaks of lightning paint the frame. We see what Bizarro sees through his closed eyelids as he is electrocuted to consciousness. A gasp. We, Bizarro, open our eyes to see General Zod smiling at us. Interior Zod's compound. We pull out to a wider angle of the room.
There we are. Good morning.
It's a modern, gleaming version of Frankenstein's laboratory. A cyclotron generates electricity through a giant cables hooked to Bizarro's body. Strapped to the table, giant monitors on the wall display Delta and 3D images of Bizarro. Bizarro looks around, dazed and bewildered. Defensively, he stands, but he gets weak in the knees and falls.
It's all right. That's to be expected, my friend. You've been asleep for a very long time.
He offers his hand to help him up. Bizarro looks at him suspiciously and rises slowly on his own.
Can you understand me? Can you speak?
Bizarro moves across the room, holding on to the objects to steady himself. He arrives at the lab sink, breathing heavily.
If you can understand what I'm saying, then hold up your hand.
Bizarro leans over the sink and unceremoniously vomits about 30 whole fish, most still flopping about. Then he sits in the chair looking around dazed.
Feel normal.
Ah, he speaks. What did he say?
I think he said he feels normal.
I don't understand.
Bizarro looks around, confused and agitated.
Me know exactly where I am.
You do? How would you? You've been...
Me know exactly where I am. I am who you are, or you.
Ursa reads from her stolen copy of the classified government document seen earlier.
We speculate that the duplication process would similarly introduce a form of cellular dyslexia in any living creature, causing inconsistent reversal of some thought processes, such as speech, logic, etc.
Ah, I see. So what you're saying is you feel strange and you don't know where you are and you don't know who we are.
Bizarro stares at him like he's an idiot. Obviously.
Humor me. I'm a bit slow. My name is Zod. I rescued you. This is my home. This is Ursa.
Bizarro stands, looks around.
Why Zod put me in the ocean?
I didn't. Oh, right. I brought you out of the ocean because
He turns to Ursa.
when I say something forward, he doesn't reverse it in his head.
Apparently not.
He turns back to Bizarro.
I rescued you because I feel a kinship to you. You see, we've both been victims of that imposter, Superman.
Me am Superman.
Correct. You're not Superman. Your name is Bizarro. You're very much like Superman, however.
Me am Superman.
He grabs the thick steel examination table and accordions it into the wall next to Zod's head, then leans in like an angry bear. Zod maintains his cool.
I don't think he was saying the opposite that time.
Believe you may be right.
He turns back to Bizarro.
Well, Superman, I apologize. The important thing is you're here now, and tomorrow will be a historic day, because tomorrow...
Bizarro has stopped listening. He turns abruptly and heads towards the exit.
Wait, where are you going?
Me am go destroy the world.
What?
Bizarro knocks down the heavy metal door and exits. Interior hallway. Ursa and Zod chase after Juggernaut Bizarro as he strides down the hallway, knocking aside everything in his path.
Wait, stop. Let me speak to you for a moment.
Bizarro plows ahead, straight ahead.
Me am Superman. Me am destroy the world.
Zod turns to Ursa.
He wants to save the world, correct?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Bizarro plows through the wall at the end of the hall. Exterior Zod's compound. Bizarro walks a distance from the main building.
Listen, Superman, of course you want to save the world. That's what you do, but you're not ready yet. They will try to hurt you out there.
Nobody can not hurt Superman.
I saved your life.
You're welcome.
Bizarro crouches, preparing to fly.
I forbid this!
He grabs Bizarro's wrist. Oops, that was a mistake. Bizarro turns slowly with a frown, and Zod, realizing that Bizarro could tear his arm from his body like pulled pork, let go.
I'm the only friend you have in this world. Remember that.
Bizarro raises his gaze skyward.
Down, down, and stay here.
With that, he soars into the sky. Exterior, the Daily Planet Day, establishing. Interior, Daily Planet newsroom. Perry White leans over Lois's desk as she types on the computer.
Stop hovering. The blast destroyed all traces of the boat, so there's no forensic possible. The nuke was approximately 300 kilotons tactical. Maybe old Soviet, but there are hundreds of those floating around. No way to trace it.
Why would you detonate a nuke in the middle of the ocean? It doesn't make sense.
Hey, see what it is.
They move to Jimmy at his computer. He's got Google Earth up.
Satellite snapped us about 30 minutes after the explosion, about 60 miles east.
If you can squint, you can make out a tiny image of Zod's helicopter.
That looks like an Osprey, but we checked no military out there.
What's that hanging below it?
Can't really make it out.
Zoom in further.
You'll just get bigger blobby tickles, sir. See?
Okay, then focus it with the enhance button.
That's just on TV, sir.
Perry grimaces at the giant, unfocused blob on the screen. Then at Jimmy, accusingly. Jimmy looks sheepish, like it's his fault.
You know, this isn't NCIS. And hey, Jimmy, it was late in the afternoon. Let's see if there's a shadow. Drag down.
Jimmy and Perry exchange impressed glances. Lois is on her game.
Got it.
On the screen, we see the large shadow of the helicopter, and we can see the outline of Bizarro hanging from the line.
What is it?
Looks like Superman.
Suddenly, Markie, a junior reporter, comes running in.
Wait. Could have just been spotted flying over the southwest. You'll never guess who it looked like.
They look up. Yes, maybe they would. Exterior of the sky, Bizarro flies over the desert, scanning the landscape below. He flies like a tank, awkward and graceless, but we can feel the weight, the wind, and the effort of flying. It's not silly at all. It's pretty cool. Suddenly, his super hearing picks up a voice. It's a little girl's cry. Bizarro spots the source of the call for help and dives. Exterior, backyard. On a sprawling yard in the dusty desert neighborhood, a little girl screams. We pull back to see that she is just playing with her brother, who's dressed like a pirate. The girl is tied to a tree by a dangling single rope.
Nobody will help you now. Now you walk the plank. Arr!
She lets the rope drop to her feet and steps forward.
Behind cheers!
They draw plastic swords. The brother moves towards her and suddenly, whomp. Bizarro lands hard right in front of the boy. The ground cracks at his feet. The boy stares up at the monster, paralyzed with horror. Bizarro grabs his arm and squeezes. The sword drops. The boy cries out in pain.
You not want hit a little girl. Maybe you am not hurt me instead.
Let me go! Let me go!
As he pulls away, Bizarro clutches harder, not knowing his own strength. We hear a terrible snap as the boy's bones breaks. Ow. Yes, it breaks.
Oh!
Bizarro turns. The little girl sees his face for the first time. Bizarro is confused.
But me am put you in danger.
He takes a step closer.
Me am want to hurt you.
He means he's going to save her, but obviously she doesn't know this. She turns white and faints. Suddenly, a shotgun blast sounds and Bizarro turns. He's been shot in the back by a farmer. The farmer's wife and the other townspeople come running.
No, don't shoot. It's got Lucky. Or Lucy.
What the hell is that?
Looks like some kind of bizarre superman.
Exactly what it is, Fend. Bizarro turns at the sound of the word bizarre. The farmer swings the shotgun into the side of his head, but it just splinters. Bizarro is confused. From his point of view, townspeople grimace and shout at him. Hate everywhere.
Get away! Leave her alone, you monster!
Bizarro looks around, bewildered. Why do they hate him? His whole world is being pulled out from under him. Suddenly, he turns at the sound of rumbling tanks. A dozen of them approach from the east, accompanied by dozens of soldiers and jeeps and troop trucks. General Packard, 40s, steps out of the lead vehicle as the tanks roll forward.
Take positions. Hold your fire until civilians clear.
The townspeople, they're directly behind Bizarro in the path of the munitions. They begin to scatter.
What the hell is that thing?
I don't know. Just pray it bleeds.
Exterior Zod's vehicle. Zod and Ursa dive across the desert landscape. Ursa has a portable comm unit listening in to the army.
It's too late. They've located him.
Good.
She turns confused.
Good.
We had to know one way or the other.
She smiles, understanding. Interior, the Daily Planet helicopter. The pilot flies Lois and Jimmy into the view of Bizarro and the troops below.
Lois.
Lois.
Damn it, Lois.
What in the world?
She spots the figure in blue tights and a red cape.
Superman?
She grabs a stick from the pilot.
Down, put it down.
Hey, do not grab the stick.
I know, she does that. I hate it.
The helicopter has not even set down completely before Lois jumps out and takes off running through the line of tanks and troops through Bizarro.
What are you doing? Have you all gone crazy? That's Superman.
On General Packard, he turns at the incongruous sight of Lois Lane in her skirt and heels running through the lines of soldiers.
Who was that? Get her out of there.
It's Lois Lane, sir.
Who the hell is Lois Lane? Stop her.
Yeah, right. You in one army.
On Bizarro, he looks around, confused, still clutching the little girl's arm. Who are these people? Why are they yelling? Do they want to hurt the little girl? He tries to reassure her.
You need worry. Them want save you. Me not protect you. Me make sure you die.
The little girl screams. On Lois, running through the troops and tanks.
Superman, what's going on? Superman.
She clears the troops and stops dead in her tracks as she sees the misshapen visage of Bizarro for the first time.
You're not Superman.
No shit. On Bizarro, he looks up and sees Lois Lane. His eyes light up with affection and he smiles a scary, crooked smile.
Lois? Lois Lane?
Bizarro's memory. Brief flashes of Lois Lane from Superman's point of view. Lois hanging from a broken train track, grabbing her outstretched hand. Point of view. Lois on her apartment terrace smiling at us. Lois flying by our side, touching the tips of our fingers in the moonlight. Back to scene. Focus on Lois Lane. Bizarro involuntarily squeezes the little girl's arm even more tightly. She cries out in pain, bringing him back to reality. He looks down at her.
Yes, me hurt. Me want hurt little girl. No, me. Me not want.
Let her go.
Bizarro looks up, startled, lets go of the little girl's arm. The little girl runs into Lois Lane's arms.
Come on, honey. It's going to be okay.
She begins to back away with the girl, tentatively, her eyes fixed on Bizarro, but Bizarro takes a step towards them.
Lois Lane.
Who are you?
Me am Superman.
Stay back.
She backs away more quickly, and he continues towards her, picking up speed.
Lois Lane.
Fire! Fire!
The troops and the tanks begin to fire at Bizarro. The bullets and shells explode on impact, but barely faze him. He continues forward towards Lois, nudging aside the closest tank like barroom doors. The little girl's eyes widen as the beast stomps after them, a crazed look in his eye. She shrieks, terrified. Lois turns, looks Bizarro right in the eye.
Stay away. Stay away from us, you freak.
This stops him in his tracks. His face falls. Why doesn't Lois Lane recognize him? His whole world is slipping out from under him.
Fire!
The tanks unleash a barrage on him. Shells explode against him, dozens at a time. When the smoke clears, he emerges, unhurt. The soldiers stare, shocked. Bizarro looks for Lois, disoriented, but she's been whisked off to safely in one of the dozens of vehicles. He feels abandoned. How has he disappointed her?
Lois Lane.
General Packard turns to the troops.
Fire!
On Bizarro, a hail of bullets ping off his body as the soldiers advance, hate and fear in their eyes. Overwhelmed, Bizarro takes a step backwards, stumbles, then takes to the sky. Interior, Zod's vehicle. Ursa and Zod look up as Bizarro, a hulking streak in the sky, goes whooshing above them in the opposite direction, followed by 3 F-15s, all firing missiles. Zod looks at Ursa, then points back over his shoulder.
That way.
Ursa hits the brakes and vehicles spin in a cloud of dust. Exterior desert town. General Packard moves to his comm officers.
Status?
6 direct Sidewinder hits, target and damage and heading southeast.
Packard looks grim. He takes a long moment before speaking.
Get the Lancer up. I'm authorizing Special Arms Code 1313.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Arming kryptonite warheads.
My bad, Johnny. Sorry.
Kryptonite?
Packard wheels to see Lois Lane standing there.
How'd you get in here? Get her out of here.
General, what in the world is the government doing with kryptonite armaments?
The general looks ahead, a steely look in his eyes.
Haven't you ever had a friendship gone bad?
Lois is shocked. Interior, Zod's vehicle. Ursa hurdles over a portable communications radio, intercepting the military communications.
Kryptonite, sir. It's confirmed. You were right.
You had any doubt?
Of course not, my general.
Exterior gas station, sundown. Bizarro lands at an abandoned gas station at the intersection of roads going off into the desert. He looks around, catching his breath, demoralized and forlorn. He suddenly becomes aware of a figure standing in front of him. He takes a step forward, then realizes it's only his blurred reflection in the mirror on the wall. He looks at himself in the mirror, crestfallen, touching his own misshapen skin.
Ugly monster.
He looks down, then back up into his own eyes.
Bizarro.
He looks up to see a massive bomber rumbling overhead. It releases an enormous laser-guided bomb with a glowing green kryptonite head. He lowers his head sadly as it sails diagonally towards him, and boom. Exterior desert town. Lois and Jimmy turn to see the enormous fireball rising from the earth in the distance. Zod and Ursa watch from the ridge overlooking the gas station as a huge green cloud rises into the sky. Zod watches Ursa on the headphones, his eyes twinkling expectantly as she listens for the results.
Well? Well?
Finally, Ursa looks up, a smile spreading on her face. Zod rises, looking over the ridge. Point of view from the ridge. As the smoke clears, we see a huge crater in the earth where the gas station was. From this distance vantage, we see a tiny hulking figure, his head hung down, sad and defeated. He takes a deep breath, looks skyward, then shoots up and goes away, gone in an instant. Back to Zod. He smiles.
That's my boy.
Interior Lois car. Jimmy drives. Lois types on her iPhone.
Powers and impervious to kryptonite? What is that thing? What does he want? Where did he go? Not.
We're about to find out. Stop here.
They pull up to a university lecture hall.
What's here?
Okay, so, all right, get this. Remember that guy who claimed he invented the duplication machine?
Yeah, Dalton something. Name's Dalton. Some mad scientist. But wasn't he killed in a lab accident?
She holds up her iPhone. On it is a picture of Mays Dalton with his little boy Spencer. They're at Spencer's science fair where Spencer has won first place. His father beams with pride.
He had a son.
Interior college classroom. Grown-up Spencer Dalton, now a young man in his early 20s, stands at a chalkboard in front of the group of stern-looking professors. He has an awkward charm and a passionate exuberance about his project. A poster on the easel reads, Transmutation of the Bizarro Time-Space Continuum. In front of him is a cheap-looking replica of his father's duplicating scope aimed into what looks like a microwave oven.
Okay, so for the sake of demonstration, let's call this
He takes a big fake glass diamond and places it in the device.
diamond.
He activates the Bizarro transmuter, and there is a little puff of smoke. In the full view, Spencer cranks a dial and turntable inside the device turns. When the smoke clears, we see that the diamond has been replaced on the platform by a walnut.
Its Bizarro equivalent, a walnut.
The professor sits stone-faced as Spencer moves to the next object on the table.
Burning charcoal? Guesses? No?
Two professors exchange bewildered glances.
You serious?
I have
I have no idea.
Damn it, Johnny!
He picks the glowing charcoal up with his tongs and deposits it into the device. He triggers the device again, turns the crank, and poof, the turntable turns, revealing a chunk of ice, which he plunks into a glass of tea.
Ice.
He takes a sip.
Note that I've modified my father's original design. It no longer duplicates, but transmutes a single object to and from the Bizarro time-space continuum.
Well, I'm confused. Weren't we to see a working device?
Yes, and I apologize profusely, but it was... You're not going to believe this. The actual device was stolen 6 days ago, and I'm working for my father's designs, but I haven't been able to get this one quite up, and...
I don't have time for this.
One of the professors stands up and exits, followed by a couple more.
No, wait.
Spencer picks up a bowling ball from the table.
A bowling ball. Any guesses?
A wiffle ball, an antimatter ball. This is absurd. There is no opposite of a bowling ball.
Not opposite. Bizarro opposite.
Spencer turns the crank, revealing a cubical bowling ball with 3 square finger holes, a beat, then a mass exodus. They've had enough. Jimmy turns to Lois, whispers,
Be sure to kick Bizarro.
The last professor to leave turns to Spencer, a sad look in his eyes.
Spencer, with no disrespect, we have hoped you would forge your own path rather than spending your life trying to validate your father's unorthodox theories.
My father gave his life for this. This works. This is real.
In his passion, he accidentally knocks the square bowling ball to the ground, hits the floor, cracks in half. It's made of painted plaster of Paris. Sad. Exterior hallway. Lois and Jimmy catch up to Spencer as he pushes his cart down the hall on a cart. Poorly written.
What's the point? The kid's obviously unbalanced.
Lois ignores Jimmy and catches up with Spencer.
Hey, Spencer, Spencer, my name is Lois Lane. I'm a reporter. I need to talk to you about the night your father died, about the monster.
Spencer stops in his tracks.
I don't know what you're talking about. There was no monster.
You said it in an interview. You even named him. You called him Bizarro. Sound familiar?
That was never published.
I found the original tape.
She holds up a weathered cassette tape. A beat.
I was a kid. My dad just died. I hallucinated. Even Superman denied it happened. I was dreaming. It never happened.
It just attacked a town outside Barston.
Spencer stops, leans against the locker. He's so relieved, it looks like he might cry.
Finally, God, finally.
Interior Bizarro's warehouse. Bizarro sits, gazing ahead with mournful eyes. We pull back to reveal that he's sitting on in a little pathetic bedroom. In the corner of an enormous warehouse, a former military aircraft assembly plant, now gutted and abandoned. The mattress he sits on is bare, and the bed almost bends to the ground under his weight.
I knew you'd be back. I see you found your bedroom.
Zod walks up to the bed and looks down at Bizarro. Bizarro sighs after a long beat.
Me and Bizarro.
I know. I know. I tried to tell you.
He sits beside Bizarro and lays a stack of Superman comics on the table. A beat.
Lies. All lies. He's no Superman. He's a sociopath.
Bizarro looks from the heroic comic covers to Zod, his interest piqued.
Ursa and I came to this planet as immigrants. Simple wanderers in search of a home.
Flashback. Flames erupt, cars explode, buildings collapse, panicked citizens scream as the smoke clears. We see Zod, Ursa, and super henchman now walking towards camera, revealed as the source of the conflagration.
We hoped
Back
to
to
be
scene.
friends with Superman, but he hated us. Perhaps he was jealous. He wanted to be the only superhero on Earth, I suppose. Sound familiar?
Zod glances at Bizarro innocently to gauge his reaction. It's working. Bizarro listens intently. Indeed, this is just like what happened to him.
He tricked us. We were too trusting, too innocent, I suppose. He used the molecule chamber in his Fortress of Solitude to strip us of our powers, to cripple us, but that wasn't enough.
Flashback. Zod falls backward into a deep, icy crevice into the floor of the fortress, followed by Ursa.
He threw us into an icy grave. The whole world thinks we are dead. But we survived, Ursa and I. It took 3 days to dig our way out, and 3 more to find help. We never did find our friend Non.
Back to scene.
And then, when he tired of this world, he abandoned it, leaving the world without a hero.
Bizarro looks into his eyes, empathetic. Zod's got him. Hook, line, and sinker.
I know you're confused, bewildered about this world, but the rules here are simple. I will teach you. And if you do what I say, speak the way I teach you, they will learn to love and appreciate you as they loved that imposter who robbed so much from the both of us. You can help us, Bizarro. And I believe you will, because you're a genuine hero.
Bizarro looks up at Zod.
Hero?
The idea of this means the world to him.
You're the key. You can make everything all right again. You're going to help us get the molecule chamber. You're going to get our powers back. And then Ursa and I will help you take your rightful place as the protector of these people. They'll cheer your every heroic act. They'll build a statue in your honor.
Statue?
A big one.
Bizarro smiles, his face full of hope. He's made his decision.
How me hurt you?
How me help you.
How me help you?
Zod smiles, puts his arm around Bizarro.
We'll work on that mangled English of yours. Don't worry.
Bizarro looks down, slightly ashamed.
Now show your appreciation and kneel. Kneel before Zod.
Bizarro stands up perfectly straight, then smiles, seeking approval.
Well, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Interior Starbucks. We join Lois, Spencer, and Jimmy in the middle of a discussion.
Got hair in my mouth. I don't understand. He clearly said he intended to hurt the little girl.
But he could have meant the opposite. He could have meant he wanted to help her.
Jimmy?
Oh, well, sorry. This is your Bizarro space-time thingy, right? Your square bowling ball.
That is based on solid theory.
Okay, so Spencer, deep breaths. Okay, now, if you had to guess, why would someone want to bring it back?
It's obvious. She uses a soldier.
No way. Impossible. Believe me, it would be untrainable. What I don't get is this. Why did they steal my transmuter if they already have Bizarro? It makes no sense.
No, this is good. Okay, so whoever took it must have seen the real device in action, right? So we just find the people who you showed it to, narrow it down, find Bizarro. So who did you show it to?
Spencer grows quiet.
Was it a lot of people?
Well, I sort of made a video.
Who saw your video, Spencer?
I sort of put it on YouTube.
Facepalm. Lois stares at him. Yep, that's the worst case scenario. Exterior Zod's compound, desert night. The abandoned facility looms like an old castle in the moonlight. Interior Zod's compound, foreman's office. Spencer's YouTube video plays on a computer screen on the Zod's lab table. On the video, Spencer fiddles with the controls of the device and turns a bowling ball into a square bowling ball, which he drops to the ground with a solid thunk. This is obviously the real one. Zod, watching, replicates Spencer's movements as he sets the controls of the actual transmuter, the one we saw at the beginning of the movie, sitting in front of him.
I'm ready, Ursa. Bring the blade.
Ursa is sharpening a glowing green dagger on a wheel. She finishes and hands it to Zod, who turns it in his hands contemplatively.
How strange it is to touch kryptonite with my bare hands.
Zod moves to a large observation window, which affords a view down into Bizarro's large warehouse space. Zod's point of view, warehouse. Down in the warehouse, Bizarro has piled rocks and wood here and there and assembled a sparse town of sorts. Crudely assembled figures constructed of boulders and sticks representing citizens in the city. Bizarro walks down the street, then spots a female boulder person pointing at a boulder crook with a purse dangling from his stick arm.
Help, help, me am steel purse.
We pan across to see the purse snatcher, a boulder with a ski mask on his head.
Me am help you. Me am real Superman. Me am Bizarro.
He flies over to the purse snatcher boulder man, punches him, and then returns the purse to the boulder woman and hauls the crook off to a hut marked prison. But he slams the prison door so hard, several buildings collapse, one of them right on top of the boulder woman. He looks at the rubble, frustrated.
Me am do it again. Me am hero. Me am do again.
He sets up the figures as they were before and begins to try again. Above, in the foreman's office, Ursa moves to the window to join Zod.
What on earth is he doing?
He's learning to save the world.
Zod turns and moves to the transmuter, placing the knife inside. He triggers it. Swirling particles swarm the knife. It glows, changing the color from green to blue.
And by the time he's done saving the world, they will willingly hand over the molecule chamber for what we have to trade.
Cut to interior Bizarro's bedroom. Bizarro sleeps, his huge figure curled precariously on the small bed. Zod and Ursa sit watching him. Zod produces the blue kryptonite knife and draws it lightly across Bizarro's collarbone. A razor-thin line of purple blood appears at the wound. Bizarro stirs slightly, turns on his other side, then goes back into a deeper slumber. Zod and Ursa exchange a triumphant glance.
This planet is ours.
Day, a group conference table addressing a lawyer. His client is dressed in black with a black mask covering his face.
If this is a hoax, your client will be severely dealt with by this government.
This is no hoax, gentlemen. My client is prepared to give ample proof of his claims. All he desires is a fair trade.
I'm sorry. If this is on level, why won't he show his face?
My client fears repercussions after the trade. What's to keep one powerless citizen safe from a government if they decide to go back on their word, respectfully.
The figure in black stands. We haven't figured out already. This is General Zod.
Enough talk.
Everyone turns to disguise Zod.
That monster is on the loose, and there's only one way to kill it. As you've seen, it cannot be killed by green kryptonite. But this will kill it.
General Zod reaches into his pocket and retrieves a small, glowing blue rock the size of a marble.
Blue kryptonite. The machine in my possession converts anything to its Bizarro equivalent. In this case, green kryptonite to blue.
Where did you get your hands on kryptonite in the first place?
As I've told you, my client is a collector, and the sample was acquired well before the Krypton Regulation Act.
This is insanity. Let's say the molecule chamber exists, but I'm not saying it does. It only has an effect on Kryptonians. What possible use would it be to you? Unless, of course, you're from Krypton.
The lawyer smirks.
My client will be willing to sign an affidavit to the effect that is not now or has ever been Kryptonian.
Some snickers in the room.
This is no laughing matter. It's possible. It isn't unprecedented.
Enough! My proposal has been made. When next you summon me to our president had best be in attendance. My time is valuable.
He exits, leaving his lawyer behind.
How do we know it works?
The lawyer places the rock on the table in front of them.
The first one's free.
The attorney general rolls the blue kryptonite pebble between his fingertips thoughtfully. Interior car. Zod enters and removes his mask. Ursa motions the car forward.
Did they agree to the trade?
Soon enough. Soon enough. Tell me, Ursa, what is the most powerful weapon in the universe?
A quad-beamed auto-regenerating proton cannon?
Zod shakes his head. He opens his briefcase and pulls out a stack of Superman comics.
Love.
The cover of Action Comics, we pull back from an illustrated image of Lois Lane. She's taking notes on her reporter's notebook, looking up at the sky. In the distance, Superman flies by. A giant hand turns the page, and we reveal Bizarro in his warehouse bedroom, 4 a.m. He's flipping through the pages of the comics that Zod has brought him. He's mesmerized, drinking in every panel containing Lois, his eyes twinkling with affection. Bizarro flips the pages, one after the other. Quick series of shots of the comics. Lois watches Superman put out a forest fire with his freeze breath. Lois writes in her notebook, astonished as Superman caps a volcano. Lois types a headline as Superman fixes a bridge damaged by an earthquake. Her thought bubble reads, "What a super guy." Her eyes twinkle with affection. Over this, we hear Zod's voice.
Saving some random little girl means nothing to a Lois Lane. A woman like that requires the grand gesture. She needs you to save the world.
On Bizarro, his mind racing with the possibilities, he smiles. The final page of the comic, Superman flies off to save the day. We push in on the distant figure in the sky. Then, exterior, the sky day. Bizarro flies through the sky, scanning the terrain below. His expression is keen and purposeful. Below, Texas landscape. People below spot him. They point and shout.
Hey, look!
Hey, Superman, he's back.
I don't think that's Superman. He looks weird.
Is he waving at us?
They look at each other. With a shrug, they wave back. Exterior in the air. Bizarro sees the men wave back and a hopeful smile spreads across his face. He turns and veers south, heading over Mexico, then spots something that gets his attention. Bizarro's telephoto vision point of view. The dormant Popocatépetl volcano. Tourists snap pictures from the base near a souvenir stand. A disappointed young Mexican boy queries his father. Both are subtitled.
Poppy, why doesn't anything come out?
This is a dormant volcano. It hasn't had lava for years.
Back to scene. Bizarro's brow furrows, concerned.
Trouble with volcano?
He swoops down towards the ground, point of view from the ground. Other tourists spot Bizarro swooping down straight towards the volcano and bam! Bizarro drills right down into the middle of the volcano. Then, moments later, he flies back out, followed by a geyser of lava. Tourists scream and yell, running every which way as the lava starts to pour down towards the city. He's fixed the volcano. Exterior in the air. Bizarro swoops across the Atlantic towards England. Exterior England, Parliament building. A careless pedestrian tosses a cigarette into a metal trash can. A moment later, two chatting passerby walking past notice smoke coming from the can.
Look, the bin's on fire.
Wait. Okay, oh, water.
Suddenly, Bizarro lands, crunch, next to the passerby and puts his arm out. Stand back. Then he concentrates, and from his eyes emerge his freeze ray, which blasts right past the trash can, extinguishing the fire like a match, but enveloping the side of the Parliament, freezing it.
No need thank Bizarro. All in day's work.
He flies away. A moment later, the entire building freezes and begins to crack. People pour out, screaming as the entire building disintegrates into a pile of frozen concrete. Exterior City River Bridge Metropolis. A drawbridge supervisor directs the street and water traffic on the Metropolis City River. He waits for an all clear signal, then starts the bridge lift sequence. Bizarro point of view from the air. The bridge separates in the middle and the two halves begin to tilt upward. On Bizarro in the sky.
More trouble. Bridge broken. Me fix.
On the bridge, Bizarro swoops down and forces one side of the bridge down. There's a horrible metal grinding sound as the mighty gears on the dock crack and strip. With the first drawbridge half in place, he flies up to the other and begins to push it down. Behind him, a huge freighter bears down towards the crossing. Interior Daily Planet newsroom. It's mayhem as reporters scramble to keep up with the Bizarro's activity around the world.
What is the status of Mexico?
Complete evacuation. Everything with wings or wheels is heading out.
300 injuries in England. The Red Cross is setting up field hospitals.
Lois Lane is the calm in the storm, placing pins on the map of the world thoughtfully, tracking Bizarro's path.
Sweden, Canada, Michigan. Jimmy, get mobile. I think he may be heading towards the eastern seaboard.
I'm on it.
Lois passes Spencer's, who's sitting with his hands on his lap near the door.
Hey, Miss Lane, I have a theory about why somebody might have stolen the transmitter. Blue kryptonite. It would work like regular kryptonite, but...
Who let you in here?
She walks right past as Markie comes running in.
Miss Lane, we just got a report that he's...
Lois turns towards her. She's stopped, frozen, looking past Lois.
He's what, Markie? Spit it out.
Markie can barely speak.
Where?
She points out the window. Everyone turns to see. Point of view from the Daily Planet. Filling their view out the window, the huge freighter crashes into the closed drawbridge, turning the entire river into a mass of buckled twisted metal and flames. Then Bizarro rises into the scene at a distance, facing the window. He salutes, then flies off into the sky. On Lois, she turns to Spencer, a frown on her face.
You still think he means no harm?
I have to.
Why?
Otherwise, my father's entire life, all his work meant nothing.
Lois looks at him thoughtfully as the flames roar outside.
Tell me about blue kryptonite.
Exterior, in the sky above Metropolis Zoo, dusk. Bizarro hovers in the sky, hands on his hips. He breathes a satisfied sigh from his good day's work. He surveys the earth below and sees Bizarro's point of view, Metropolis Zoo. Below, in the Metropolis Zoo, couples and their children seem to be waving to him, cheering for their hero Bizarro. Back to Bizarro. He lights up, basking in the recognition he deserves, then swoops down to meet his fans. On the ground, in reality, the people on the ground aren't cheering. They're shouting and pointing their finger at him.
There he is. It's him. Don't
Womp. Bizarro lands hard, cracking the ground and causing the various reptile habitats' glass to shatter. Zoogoers panic and flee, screaming. Bizarro is oblivious.
No need thank me. All in day's work.
He looks around puzzled. The whole place is now deserted.
Where'd everyone go?
Then his attention drawn to the newspaper on the ground. He picks it up and we see what drew his interest. The newspaper has a picture of smiling Lois Lane with the globe of the Daily Planet rising behind her. Back to Bizarro, mesmerized.
Lois Lane, Daily Planet.
Suddenly, he's distracted by a loud growling sound. He looks up to see a huge alligator that has escaped from the habitat and has gotten tangled in the red reptile area banner that stretches across the viewing deck. Bizarro stands and moves closer as the alligator twists and turns, freeing itself. The banner is now wrapped around its neck like a cape. Bizarro cocks his head as a memory surfaces. Flashback. Bizarro, Superman's point of view. Crypto, the super dog, comes running towards him, his cape waving behind him. Crypto jumps up and licks his master's face happily. Back to present. The alligator stares up at Bizarro with beady eyes of hatred. Bizarro's heart melts and he smiles.
Crypto, it am you.
He leans forward to lift Crypto into his arms. The alligator writhes and snarls, chomping viciously on Bizarro's face and body, genuinely trying to kill him.
Good, Crypto. Good dog.
Bizarro and his dog continue to play as the sun sets in the background. Interior, Lois's apartment, 3 a.m. Lois's phone rings. She wakes up weary. The clock reads 3 a.m.
This better be Superman.
I can stay on the line 13 seconds. Then you'll never hear from me again. Do you understand?
Her eyes widen and she recognizes the voice. She scrambles for a notepad.
I understand. I'm listening. I'm listening. Go.
Interior, Daily Planet, newsroom, morning. Frantic, Lois searches her desk looking for something.
Markie, make sure there's an unmarked car. Nothing from the fleet. He can't know I'm coming.
Perry exits his office, red-faced. Jimmy appears behind him.
Lois, Jimmy says you're going to the Capitol to ambush some general. I'll send someone else for the talking heads. I need you here.
Perry, listen. I got a call last night from a deep Pentagon source. Extremely deep. He was terrified to talk. I've never heard a flutter in this guy's voice before.
Mm-hmm. And he knows where to find Bizarro.
There may be a bigger story here.
Bigger than Bizarro?
Look, yesterday the president, the leaders of China, Russia, and Iran canceled their schedules and assembled secretly in Zurich to meet with someone.
Who?
Well, that's the thing. No one knows. He's a mysterious man, a blank. My source says they're making some kind of deal with him.
I trust this has something to do with Bizarro.
I stayed up all night. I couldn't help thinking about what Spencer told me. Bizarro kryptonite. What if somebody could make Bizarro kryptonite?
Who the hell is Spencer?
Square bowling guy, not important, but listen.
No, Lois, you listen very carefully. Here's the headline. Monster destroys major cities. Forget everything else and find Bizarro. I want to know where he came from, what he wants. Does he have a Bizarro girlfriend? How does he take his Bizarro coffee? Why does he say am instead of I? I don't care how you do it. If you have to search the ends of the earth, I want you to find him.
Then, without warning, boom, clank. Something shakes the building. Everyone is quiet. What the hell was that? All heads turn to the source of the sound, the elevator. It whines and shudders as the cars ascend to their floor. Silence as the doors open, and out steps Bizarro, dressed like Clark Kent. Well, sort of. He's wearing the glasses, overcoat, and hat, but his Superman garb can clearly be seen peeking out under his unbuttoned shirt. His cape flopping out the back of his coat. Worst disguise ever.
Anything else, Chief?
Oh, no, that'll do for today, Lois.
Nobody moves a muscle as Bizarro makes his way across the newsroom past Lois and Perry.
Hello, Perry White. Me am get good story today. Hello, Lois Lane.
Everyone remains frozen like statues, their eyes locked on him as he sits at Clark's desk and adjusts his seat. He cracks his knuckles, then drags the computer keyboard towards himself and mimes typing, pawing at the keys in bunches at a time. The computer isn't even powered up. At the end of each line, he pushes the keyboard to the side as if it were a typewriter roller.
Me am ordinary reporter. Clark Kent, not hero.
I feel like this ruins Superman's alias. He suddenly grabs a lamp and knocks it on the ground.
Oh, me am clumsy, not hero, not Bizarro Superman.
He takes a story from someone's desk.
Uh-oh, trouble. Farmer Bill dies in house. Maybe not too late to save Bill.
He stands suddenly, knocking over the table.
Me am need find telephone.
A white-faced junior reporter hands him a cell phone. He takes it and begins to strip off his Clark Kent disguise in full view of everybody. When he is finished, he hands back the phone, now in full blue and red splendor. With this, he turns to Lois and hands her a slip of paper.
Lois Lane, your panties am pink.
Sorry. He turns and heroically exits around the corner. There's a sound of a smash as he flies through a window. Lois looks down, unfolds the note. As she reads it, her eyes light up. Exterior Daily Planet newsroom. Lois runs out, Perry White behind her. She whistles for a taxi and one pulls up at the curb. She shouts to the driver as she exits.
Capitol building.
Apologetically, Perry White shouts into the cab.
Bizarro went that way, Lois! That way!
But Lois's cab heads off in the opposite direction. Exterior United States Capitol building. General Packard walks down the steps, flanked by reporters and staff. Lois pushes through aggressively.
General, it's Lois Lane. I need to speak with you.
Wait your turn, Lane. Hey.
She can't get the general's attention. The crowd passes. She begins shouting to no one in particular.
Can you comment on blue kryptonite, General? Blue kryptonite.
This gets his attention. He wheels, leveling a finger at her into the Secret Service.
Her in the car now.
Interior General Packard's car. Lois and Packard sit in the back. Packard motions the driver forward.
I could charge you with treason, Miss Lane. Tell me exactly what you know.
Sorry. I know you're making the deal. The molecule chamber and the exchange for blue kryptonite ammunition. I also know you don't know who you're making a deal with.
I know it's not Bizarro.
Maybe it's worse. Somebody else is behind this. What if that person is using him? Using him to get us scared, to get us panicked. So we'll do anything and turn over power to anyone who promises to keep us safe. Superman put the molecule chamber in your care. He had it disassembled and scattered so nobody could get it by pure force. He said, under no circumstances should it.
Superman isn't here, Miss Lane.
He collects himself, then, more softly.
There are people. The people are rioting, Lois. They're demanding we do something. I don't have any choice.
My source said he'd give you proof, a sample. Why don't you use that to kill him?
We've run the hypotheticals, right? The sample's too small. Well, with what we have to get close as I'm sitting here to you, dude.
I'll do it. I can get close.
How?
She digs in her purse and brings out the note paper that Bizarro handed her at the Daily Planet. The note. The print looks like a second grader's handwriting, and some of the letters are backward. It reads, Bizarro Comm, Lois apartment, 8 o'clock. Back to scene. The general looks up from the note, quizzically.
He's got Superman's memories, and Superman is fond of me. I can get close. I can kill it. Please don't risk everything because you're scared of a monster.
After a long moment of contemplation, the general relents. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small cardboard box. He opens it, revealing a small gun similar to a high-tech Duranger. In its glass chamber is a small blue glowing bullet formed from the blue kryptonite sample. He hands the gun to Lois.
If I haven't heard from you by midnight, we make the exchange. Let's hope your date goes well.
Cut to interior Lois Lane's apartment bedroom. Lois is there with Jimmy Olsen. She turns a small kryptonite gun in her hand.
Well, I'll be right here. Anything bad happens, then
And what?
I have no idea.
Don't worry, I'll be fine. I'm going to ask him questions, gain his confidence, then you won't even know what hit him.
She places the gun into its cardboard box. Jimmy looks at her, bewildered.
Don't you need a lead box for that?
Bizarro kryptonite rays go through lead. They can't permeate cardboard.
That is messed up.
Tell me about it.
They look up at the sound of something approximating a jet.
It's coming. You going to be okay?
I've got it completely under control.
She stands and turns to look out at her balcony. Our expectation is that he will come flying down from the outside, but instead, crash. He comes down through the bedroom ceiling. He lands in the corner of the room.
Goodbye, Jimmy. Goodbye, Lois. I mean, hello. Me save Lois now. Hello, Jimmy. I mean, goodbye.
He strides forward, grabs Lois in his arms, and
Wait, no, wait.
flies off with her.
Lois!
But she's gone. Jimmy stares at the disappearing figures.
Oh, no.
Exterior in the air. Bizarro flies, holding Lois in one arm.
Where are we going? Where are you taking me?
Home.
Home?
You want fly?
No.
He lets her go. She falls screaming towards the earth.
Oops. Me drop Lois by accident.
Lois falls screaming, genuinely terrified. No shit. He catches her, knocking all the air out of her, and they level off. She's white, shaken from the cold, and petrified with fear as she yawns.
Mia make playful joke. Break ice with Lois.
She stares at him, teeth chattering. Interior Bizarro's bedroom warehouse night. Bizarro flies with Lois through a broken window and deposits her gently to the ground, then flies away into the darkness. Lois looks around but can only make out silhouettes of crooked structures surrounding her. She stumbles forward. Bizarro has disappeared. She can hear footsteps echo off the walls. It's ominous.
Hello? Where are you?
She moves forward, hands out, feeling the walls.
Hello?
Suddenly, she trips over something in the darkness. She looks up to find herself face to face with Crypto the alligator.
It's
It
Loki.
lunges at her. It's just wide open. She scrambles back on her feet, elbows, but it gains it on her, chomping down, missing her foot by inches. Then it lunges, sure to tear a good chunk of meat off this time. Then suddenly it is jerked back by a chain around its neck, anchored to a lamppost. Lois backs away as the thing continues to snap at her. She rises to her feet, startled, as suddenly the lights around the warehouse begin to illuminate. She's astonished by what she sees. A strange, fake, bizarro world has been constructed in the warehouse. It's an entire miniature city street, jury-rigged from scrap wood and metal and objects Bizarro has gathered from his adventures in the world. Mannequins made of 2x4s and sticks wearing discarded clothes populate the street. A dummy cat is posed chasing a dummy dog. Clouds made of bricks hang by wires above, and painted stars shimmer in the sky. The moon is a manhole cover. On Lois, astonished as she looks around, taking in the crazy, backward details of the world. She turns slowly, suddenly terrified, as she sees Bizarro standing across the street. A crazed grin on his face. He's holding a rope.
Look out, Lois Lane. Boat M fall from sky.
He pulls the rope. There's a sound from above. Lois, she looks up as she hears a creaking sound above her. Roof of building above her. A large boat teetering incongruously on the top of the building falls straight down towards her. On Lois as she screams, diving out of the way. On Bizarro, moving under the boat, punching it as it impacts, the rotten wood splinting around him. He looks around for Lois.
Lois? Lois Lane?
Back a building near fire hydrant. Lois crouches in the bare structure behind one of the buildings. She pulls out the cardboard box with the kryptonite gun and starts to load the chamber. Her hands shake.
Lois! Lois, where am Lois?
On Bizarro. He turns the corner and moves forward. He arrives at the fire hydrant, but she's gone. Scaffolding. Lois climbs, reaching up for the top of the building, about 20 feet up. Top of building. Lois pulls herself onto the roof and stands, leaning against a large crate mounted above the floor. She fumbles with the gun, loading the kryptonite bullet in the chamber, when suddenly the floor sways under her feet. She drops the bullet as the entire building sways back and forth. The bullet rolls to the edge of the roof. Lois lunges, catches the bullet just before it falls, and looks down to see Bizarro standing below. He has the building in both hands, and he's shaking it, that crazed grin on his face.
Let go, Lois Lane. Fall off building, fall.
On Lois as she hangs on for dear life, but she's slipping. On Bizarro, angle from ground. He continues to shake the building, then stops as he hears Lois scream. He looks up. Lois has gone from view. He looks around. She's nowhere to be seen. The roof. Bizarro flies up to the roof and looks around. Puzzled. Lois seems to have disappeared. He moves to the edge of the building and peers over, looking for her. As Lois approaches from behind, she moves closer, the kryptonite gun ready and loaded in her hand. As Bizarro continues to search for Lois below, Lois raises the gun to his head. She narrows her eyes and slowly begins to squeeze the trigger.
We only want to save Lois Lane.
Lois cocks her head, thinking. The trigger. Slowly, she releases her grip on the trigger. There's a soft click as the hammer rests into place.
Fave?
On Bizarro. He wheels at her voice, startled, knocking Lois away like a feather. On Lois, she tumbles off the side of the building, screaming. On Bizarro, he looks around. Where did the scream come from? Then spots Lois falling. On Lois falling. In the background, we see Bizarro rise and come flying to save her. He flies faster and faster as she falls, starting to catch up with her descent. Bottom of the building, Lois falls towards the ground, closing her eyes, and then, just as all looks lost, it is. Her body slams to the ground. Yes, she actually hits the ground hard on her side, her eyes open wide. She howls in pain, clutching her shoulder. If it's not clear, I think we were all expecting that Bizarro would catch her, Bizarro included. Lois lies there a moment, letting the pain subside. Then, with some effort, she sits up, her back against the wall, and begins to check for broken bones. She's lucky the 2 stories didn't kill her. Bizarro stands above her, not sure what to do, looking very uncomfortable. He turns and grabs a nearby object, putting it in front of her sheepishly. It's a typewriter.
You am right story now?
She looks at him in disbelief, then laughs, grimacing at the pain it induces.
You wanted to save me?
He nods sadly.
And you wanted me to write the story?
He nods. Bizarro sits next to her, his back against the wall. It's suddenly all become clear to her. His eyes are kind. He means no harm. A long pause. A long moment passes.
Where did you come from?
He thinks about this, then looks around at the strange world he's made.
Here. A tray.
Tray. Wait. Backwards. Earth?
He nods. She looks at the longing look in his eyes, beginning to understand.
This is what normal Earth looks like to you. Our version must be incredibly confusing to you.
He nods.
It am Bizarro.
A smile spreads on his face. He actually meant that as a joke. Surprised, Lois laughs genuinely a beat.
Who brought you here? I need to know.
Bizarro looks down. He shakes his head.
No. Him say not to.
Him? Who, Bizarro? Tell me. Trust me.
Bizarro looks into Lois's eyes. A long moment of thought. Then he looks like he's about to say something when suddenly Lois's eyes widen as she sees behind Bizarro a ship anchor comes swinging down and knocks into the side of Bizarro's head, sending him tumbling out of frame. On Lois, she barely has time to register this when Jimmy Olsen comes running into view.
Back to GPS. Come on.
No, Jimmy, it's okay. He doesn't mean any harm. Spencer was right.
You gotta be kidding.
Suddenly, Lois sees something. She puts her hand over Jimmy's mouth and pulls him to the ground. They peek out behind the corner to see front of warehouse. A Humvee pulls up to the warehouse and Zod and Ursa emerge. They begin unloading crates marked with military seals of different countries. On Lois, she can't believe her eyes.
It can't be.
What?
That's General Zod.
Zod? Zod's dead, right?
Come on.
Jimmy's truck. Lois keeps trying her cell phone, trying to get reception.
Damn it! I can't get any bars.
What's going on?
The world is going to be ruled by Zod if I can't get a stupid bar.
Interior Zod's compound, foreman's office. Zod stands behind Bizarro as Bizarro watches something on the TV screen. Bizarro looks numb, crestfallen. On the TV, It's a security footage of Lois and Bizarro on top of the fake Daily Planet from moments before. Lois moves towards Bizarro from behind, aiming her kryptonite-loaded Derringer at his head. Back to scene.
She's not your friend. She was here to kill you.
No. No, not Lois.
Zod nods, taking pleasure at poor Bizarro's misery. Bizarro stares straight ahead, heartbroken.
Lois Lane Am hate me?
Zod leans in behind him.
She's just like the rest of them, Bizarro. These people don't appreciate you. They're confused.
Them. Am confused?
That's right. Not you. Them.
Bizarro's expression hardens. Dissolve 2. Exterior the sky night. Bizarro flies a crooked path in the sky, a hardened look in his eyes.
They don't know what's good for them. You have to show them. You have to rule them. Only if you rule them can they be free.
Exterior Colorado maximum security prison night. The prisoners motion to the sky as Bizarro flies towards the crowded yard.
The world is upside down. You must liberate the imprisoned.
Bizarro tears away the massive prison doors. Guards shoot at Bizarro, but he demolishes the guard tower as prisoners come streaming out. Exterior, the White House. Thousands march on the White House. Protesters carry signs reading, "Kill the monster" and "Protect us."
You must imprison the free.
Bizarro swoops in with huge fish nets and scoops up hundreds of citizens into the sky. Exterior prison. Bizarro deposits his catch into the prison yard. The citizens pour out terrified as Bizarro seals the gate with his flame breath. Exterior the sky seaport. Bizarro flies inside the clouds as he emerges. The naval base appears in the distance.
You must protect the citizens from themselves.
Naval base. Hundreds of security sentry poles telescope up from the ground. Bizarro grabs them in both arms as he passes, ripping them from the ground. Exterior city street. Bizarro zooms forward, planting the sentry poles into the sidewalks, one after the other like trees.
As for their armies, you are their army now. You are their commander.
Bizarro's expression hardens as he rises and hovers, then uses his telephoto sight to scan far into the distance to Washington, D.C., where thousands of troops in armored vehicles assemble on Bizarro. He grimaces with a determined roar. Exterior White House lawn. General Packard commands an array of tankers, troop trucks, and heavy armor. He is flanked by a radar OP and lieutenant.
38 miles in closing, sir.
What's the deployment status?
Ready to arm, sir.
Packard looks down, a difficult decision.
Sir,
I heard you, Lieutenant.
22 miles in closing.
He turns to a nearby figure silhouetted by the camp lights. He grits his teeth. This isn't easy to say.
All right. It's a deal.
The figure, Zod, smiles. Lois and Jimmy in the Jeep. They're going full throttle. Suddenly, Lois slams her foot on the brake. The Jeep spins in the dirt. Jimmy looks at her. What the hell?
I've got a bar.
She punches numbers furiously.
Accidentally got a call just for real. This is Lois Lane. Tell General Packard it's Lois Lane. No. Just tell him it's Zod. For God's sake, just tell him it's Zod.
Exterior Bizarro in the sky. The lights of the battalion are close enough to illuminate his enraged face. On the ground, a line of soldiers carrying platters of green kryptonite armaments, bullets, grenades, and warheads to be processed in the kryptonite transmuter. A sergeant barks orders at them. Other soldiers pass the opposite direction, fresh from the transmuter with armfuls of blue kryptonite armaments and weapon specialists. Load blue kryptonite armaments into tanks, rocket launchers, and flak cannons as Zod and Ursa stride towards a heavily guarded, high-tech white military vehicle. As they approach, its sides lower to reveal the glowing molecule chamber. General Packard, he turns as a comm officer sprints towards him.
Sir, I have a message to relay. It's an alpha level priority.
1,000 meters in closing.
Within seeker range, heat and radar.
Take him down.
In the air, Bizarro dives towards the battalion lights. The battalion, their turrets and guns moving up to meet his path. On Bizarro diving towards them, the soldiers and big guns begin to fire on Bizarro. The first round of flak explosives and blue bursts around him. One of the concussions hits it Mark, and Bizarro is hurled sideways. He regains his balance and hovers, breathing hard. He looks around, confused, disoriented, and in terrible pain. He looks down, his suit is ripped. Blue blood forms in the wound. For the first time ever, Bizarro is frightened. Bam, 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 bam. More concussions explode around him, tossing him about like a rag doll. He clutches his head, and soars upward into the cloud, hopefully out of reach of the deadly blasts. Above the clouds, he hovers, listening. It's quiet. His suit is torn in a dozen places. His breathing is heavy. He's in pain. He hears a sound, a whine that becomes progressively louder, and then he sees them. A dozen SAM missiles flying up through the clouds, tracking him. He turns and flies away from them, but they are fast. Slowly, they gain on him, nipping at his heels. He slows suddenly. The SAM rollers past him. He's weakened as they pass, the blue kryptonite radiating into his body. Relieved momentarily, he turns to see the SAM's turning, headed straight back at him. He tries to fly away, but he's too weak. The fly-in cluster towards him and explode in a huge blue fireball. At the battalion, the general leans over the radar OP, looking at his screen.
Direct hit, General. He's going down. He's going down.
The general sighs, relieved. He turns to the comm operator.
Yes? Go ahead.
It's Zod, sir.
What?
The message, sir, from Lois Lane. Quote, it's Zod.
The general's eyes widen, horrified.
Oh, no. God.
He turns to see behind him the molecule chamber. Blinding light pours from the interior. Then the lights fade, the doors open, and Zod emerges, floating upwards to survey the puny little army below him.
What have I done?
The sky. Bizarro is a tiny speck falling from the sky. He hits the ground hard. It takes him a moment to catch his breath. Slowly, he rises and limps forward. Then he realizes where he is. He's in the middle of the smoldering remains of the decimated battlefield. Tanks burn, soldiers lie slumped over vehicles, complete demolition. The molecule chamber lies smashed, ruined. Bizarro stops and looks up at the figure in his path. It's Zod, hovering like Dracula, Ursa behind him. Zod drops slowly to the ground and walks up to Bizarro. Bizarro smiles, a ray of hope that his old friend is here to help. But Zod raises his foot and pushes Bizarro to his knees. Bizarro looks up at him, confused.
Hurt.
Zod smiles.
Yes, I should think so.
He turns to Ursa, who stands next to the kryptonite transmuter. Piles of unused green kryptonite weapons are stacked next to it.
The baton.
He motions to a military baton fashioned from green kryptonite. Ursa nods and puts the baton into the device, transforming it. Zod takes it from the machine, turning it in his hand.
Perfect.
Without warning, he brings the baton swinging into poor Bizarro's head. Bizarro howls, hitting the ground hard. He looks up at Zod, horrified and bewildered.
Why?
Because I hate you.
Opposite hate?
No. Hate. Hate. I hate you, you poor, ridiculous freak.
With this, he swings the baton right into Bizarro's wounded shoulder. Bizarro tumbles back with a cry of pain, tripping over the Bizarro's transmuter, which is knocked over on its side, its beam warming up. Zod comes at him, swinging again. Bizarro raises his hand to shield his face, and the baton hits his forearm with a terrible crack. Then another blow, which sends him flying. Bizarro looks up bewildered and heartbroken as Zod comes floating towards him, flipping the baton in his hand.
You don't understand, do you, you freak? I used you to regain my powers.
Bizarro looks at the bodies strewn across the battlefield.
You killed everyone.
No, you did, Bizarro.
But me am hero.
You're useless. A fool.
Me save world.
You've guaranteed its enslavement.
Me am Superman.
Yes, enough for me to thoroughly enjoy this.
He unsheathes a concealed blue kryptonite dagger from his coat and attacks with a roar. Bizarro, terrified, jerks away as the knife slashes inches from his face, and his momentum takes him tumbling backward, right into the beam of the Bizarro transmuter. There's a flash of light and everything goes purple. Slowly, we fade from purple. Exterior Bizarro World City Park. Bizarro lies on the ground unconscious. His eyes flutter open and he sits up. Wincing in pain, he rises and looks around. His eyes widen in wonder in what he sees. It's the real Bizarro world. It's been transmuted there by the device. He's in the middle of a Bizarro park. Around him, Bizarro children play, dragging lead balloons and eating ice cream cones upside down. A cat runs by chasing a dog. Birds leap out of a nearby pond. A passing garbage truck passes, and the Bizarro garbage men throw trash all over the street. A fire truck pulls up and douses the spouting park fountain with flamethrowers until the water is put out. Bizarro stands and wanders forward in a daze. Around the park towers the surrounding cityscape. The street twists haphazardly, and crooked buildings zigzag into sky filled with granite clouds. A flock of fish fly past a gray rainbow. Then, from down the street, Bizarro Crypto comes running towards him, his cape waving majestically. Crypto jumps up and licks his master happily. Bizarro's expression turns from awe to joy as a tear rolls up into his eye.
Home.
We pull out from Bizarro, back past the teetering columns of the city, back past the granite clouds into space. From here, we can see Hathri. In all its glory, as the colorful cube-shaped planet revolves slowly in the vastness of space. Cut back to title card 3 months later. Fade in TV newsroom Metropolis. 2 morning news co-hosts Ryan and Markie plaster fake smiles on their face in an effort to appear chipper as they deliver one horrifying story after another. Markie, we remember as Lois's protege at the Daily Planet.
Happy Wednesday, everybody, and welcome to Good Morning Metropolis.
It's day 92 of the Great Reign of Zod.
Hail Zod.
Hail Zod, Markie. And another wonderful day it is.
Great news day from Zod, Virginia. This day as only 38 conscripted workers vanished in aluminum mine.
The screen behind the anchors plays footage of the mining facility where thousands of citizens toll as slaves, whipped by ex-cons in uniforms. The citizens wear their work clothes, suits, dresses, whatever they were wearing when they were enlisted. It's obvious they were just pulled off the streets with no warning.
That's a new casualty low.
Not only that, but production is up a whopping 120% from August.
Wow! With the 6,000 warships already in the fleet, we're well on our way to Zod's goal of complete universal domination.
We see the footage of the miles of warships being built across the fields of Iowa.
I'll trade fresh corn for security any day.
Hail Zod, Mary.
Hail Zod.
And speaking of fresh, there was more freshening of Washington, D.C. today as the White House was moved aside to make way for the Palace of Versailles.
All the way from South France?
Behind them on the blue screen, we see footage of the Palace of Versailles being lowered into the spot where the White House used to be. Ursa just sets it down as if it were a dinner plate. In the background, the White House just sits cracked in half and discarded on the top of a junk pile consisting of other treasured edifices, among them the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Monument.
That's right, Markie. With more than 2,000 windows, 600 rooms, and 1,200 fireplaces, it's a perfect place for Lord General Zod to rule and entertain.
Unfortunately, a number of freedomites came out of the woodwork to mar the occasion. Seeing them apparently no trace of old history. Boo!
Like ants at a picnic. Luckily, the liberated former inhabitants of Rikers Island were newly deputized and on the job.
We see criminal types with the shields and clubs suppressing a small band of unarmed protesters.
We've got some of those fine lads employed here, in fact, to keep us on our toes, don't we?
They cut to a shot of the studio where the armed thugs watch for any problems in the newscast.
We sure do. Great group of guys. And if Zod security forces don't catch ghost offenders, newly operational security monitors will.
We see the footage of telescoping security sentry poles, the one Bizarro planted from the Fortress of Solitude, whirling, panning, and scanning, keeping watch over the populace.
In other news, 2,000 defendants have been rounded up and scheduled for execution.
Markie hesitates, the words sinking in, the cracks in her chipper facade beginning to show. She gets a stern look from the thugs watching from behind the camera. She tries to pull it together, her voice cracking.
For execution today, as a reminder of the need for obedience to Lord Emperor Zod, with crimes ranging from potential conversion to enemy of Zod, we can never be too careful when it comes to traitors. Notable among this is old history news journalist Lois Lane, who...
Her eyes begin to well up as she tries to say chipper.
Who I worked with for many years, and...
Some of the thugs exchange glances and draw clubs from their holsters.
I'm sure it's all for the best.
Hail Zod, Markie.
He turns, waiting for her to echo the statement. Markie says nothing. Brian looks worried. There is tension in the studio. Then finally, Markie speaks.
If you're out there, if you hear me, you gotta help us, please help.
There's a blur as the camera gets knocked aside. Guards grab Markie and the screen goes black. Interior, the Palace of Versailles, freezer detention room. We follow two of Zod's deputized ex-criminal guards as they enter the freezer detention room. The room is lined with glass freezer cells, not much larger than upright coffins. Various descendants occupy the freezers, ordinary-looking citizens, soldiers, ex-city officials. Some pound and claw on their cell walls, trying to escape. Some huddle on the floor, shivering, waiting to die. The guards stop in front of one of the freezers.
This one?
Inside is Lois Lane. She's shivering, barely conscious. Interior Zod's throne room. Lois is led by the guards to Zod's throne. Zod sits, sipping tea.
Kneel before Zod.
She's pushed to her knees. She looks up, shivering.
You're shivering. Would you like a sip of hot tea?
She looks up at the steaming cup, unable to speak. She reaches for it.
I imagine you would. As I clawed my way through the ice onto the Fortress of Solitude, I thought of nothing else.
He slowly pours the contents on the floor in front of her, then turns to his servant.
Clean this mess up.
The enslaved servant, legs shackled, hobbles over and cleans up the tea, then begins to refill his cup.
You will get away with this, Zod. He'll be back.
Bizarro? First, I destroyed the machine, and second, if you think that baboon has any chance of...
Superman.
The sooner the better. Oh, of course, you haven't seen the results of my space program yet.
He motions to a monitor. Lois turns to see on the monitor. We see footage from space pointing back to Earth, where a spherical shield consisting of hundreds of thousands of glowing white rocks orbit the globe, crisscrossing in all directions.
Shielded kryptonite, of course.
A piece of space debris. The space station drifts in the path of the shield and is instantly demolished in a glowing green cloud. Back to Zod.
He won't even know what hit him. My only regret is that he won't be able to witness your death.
Lois stares at the screen, her hope fading. The servant, too, looks at the screen, accidentally spilling tea on Zod's arm.
What have you done, you idiot?
He turns to a guard.
Kill his entire family.
The guard turns and starts out the door.
No, please, Lord Zod, please, I'll do your bidding. Please leave my family alone. Please, merciful Zod.
He goes to his knees. Zod motions to the guard, wait.
Very well. But only because I still enjoy the novelty of hearing you beg, Mr. President.
The servant, President of the United States, lowers his head as he refills Zod's tea. Exterior Metropolis Street. Jimmy Olsen hides in an alleyway as a detachment of Zod's police go by, dragging a prisoner, a young dad in his 20s, to their squad car.
No, please, it was only a bag of peanuts. Our boy hasn't eaten in 3 days. Zod promised us relief.
Shut up and
Shut up and get in the car.
The cop pushes him roughly into the vehicle. As the car drives off, we notice the back hubcap is missing. Jimmy, his back against the alley wall, sneaks the stolen hubcap into his coat. Exterior apartment building. Jimmy keeps his head down as he walks past a number of security monitors, telescoping up from the street. The world is now blanketed with the things. They follow his movement as he passes. A guard looks at him as he enters the building.
Hail Zod.
Hell, Zod, absolutely. Best ruler ever.
The guard watches him suspiciously as he passes. Interior, Jimmy Olsen's apartment.
Did you get it?
Jimmy nods, pulls the hubcap out of his coat. Spencer grabs it eagerly and affixes it to the Bizarro Transmuter 2, a smaller, backpack-sized version of the original. This one is even more jury-rigged, constructed of gathered objects such as vacuum cleaner hoses and a George Foreman grill housing. The hubcap mounted as a parabolic dish. Spencer surveys his work.
That should do it. You ready?
No, I'm not ready. I haven't even tested it.
The fuse is thin as paper. We can't spare a test.
You don't even know if this thing works with normal people. Maybe it's only for a convoluted Bizarro only thing where safe and sound in another universe. But we get our eyeballs eaten by hummingbirds for eternity.
That's definitely a possibility.
The hell with this, dude. The hell with this. No way. No freaking way.
A long beat.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Jimmy reaches for the switch. There's a flash of light. Exterior Bizarro World City Street. We're close on a garbage bin as a flash of light from the inside illuminates the seams under the lid. After a few moments of rustling from within, a hand pushes the lid up. The bin is filled with all manners of valuables, jewelry, rubies, MP3 players, new in their boxes, etc. Jimmy's head pops up from the garbage and he looks around. At first, his face is an astonished blank slate. Then slowly, as he takes in the insanity around him, he begins to laugh. Slowly at first, then maniacally. Spencer pops up, looking around, smiles contentedly as Jimmy continues to cackle uncontrollably. Exterior Bizarro World Main Street. Bizarro Main Street is a hodgepodge of real estate zoning where the next property one passes might just as easily contain a house, a skyscraper, a forest, or an airport. Jimmy and Spencer make their way down the street, taking in the bizarre wonders of the world around them. Square-wheeled cars and bicycles clomp by, and Bizarro dogs strolling upright walk packs of Bizarro dog walkers on all fours. As they pass an alleyway, they see in the alleyway a Bizarro street thug robs a Bizarro citizen.
You have to take all my money right now, or me shoot.
Okay. We take all of it.
The Bizarro thug hands over wads of cash to the terrified Bizarro citizen. Back to scene. They pass a school and see Bizarro school grounds. A number of Bizarro children running out to the playground and taking their seats in the jungle gym and slides, opening their books to study. One Bizarro boy is grabbed by the teacher by his collar.
Not so fast. Must pass your test with flying colors. Top student. No recess for you.
The Bizarro boy looks sad as he's led back into the schoolhouse. Back to scene. There's so much of this kind of activity going on around them that Spencer and Jimmy are actually beginning to take it in stride.
I want you to say it.
You really think that's the most important thing right now?
Yes, I do.
You're right.
There. See? Now we can move on.
Suddenly, they turn as a hulking figure offers greeting as he passes by. It's Bizarro!
Goodbye, Jimmy Olsen. It am very unpleasant day, am it?
He's wearing an oversized granite pendant around his neck that reads Bizarro number 1. He doesn't even bother to stop. He just keeps walking down the sidewalk and around the corner.
Come on.
Exterior, Bizarro's house. A modest house, which looks like everything else in Bizarro World. It's crooked and wrong in its construction. The chimney sticks out at the side of the house, the front door tilted 45 degrees. Bizarro walks up the streets of his house, throws the newspaper out to the street, and shuts the door. Jimmy and Spencer, watching, follow up the walk. Interior, Bizarro's house. Spencer and Jimmy knock softly and enter to find Bizarro sitting on a chair watching television.
Bizarro, listen. You have to come with us.
Shh. TV in the middle of watching me.
They look at the TV and realize that instead of the screen, it is an enormous fleshy eyeball. Oh. Which looks around the room, blinking occasionally. After a few moments of this, the bulbous eye closes. Oh.
Okay. Me, I'm over. What you not want?
It's God, Bizarro. You've taken over the entire world. You've played half the population. The other half are being worked to death in this factory. But when Superman comes back, he'll be flying right into a trap.
Me am care a lot.
Jimmy turns to Spencer.
Was that Bizarro speak or just sarcasm?
Suddenly turns and yells out the window.
Hey, you kids, stop planting grass in my yard.
Then he turns back and opens a magazine.
They not bad. They just correctly guided.
Is anyone else confused? Spencer steps forward so Bizarro can take a better look at him.
Bizarro, do you remember me? My name is Spencer Dalton. I was there the day you were born. The day you fought Superman.
This gets Bizarro's attention. He scrutinizes Spencer.
You were much taller. Yes, I forget you.
Right, good. Listen, Bizarro, the Earth is in big trouble. We need your help.
You need Superman.
We don't have him. We have you.
A long beat.
No, this am where I not belong. Here on Hearth. Here everything am completely perfect. Me am uncomfortable and happy. Me do nothing, so am world's greatest hero. Why me would leave land of sheer imperfection to fight nicest, kindest Zod?
A long beat.
Because he's going to kill Lois Lane.
Bizarro looks up from his magazine, real concern on his face.
But Lois Lane am not love me. Love Superman.
That's why you're a hero.
Bizarro considers this. Spencer exchanges a glance with Jimmy. What's he going to do? Tension in the air. Even the TV wakes up and looks from Jimmy to Spencer to Bizarro, eagerly anticipating his decision. Not the eye again. Exterior, the Roman Colosseum day. Zod sits with Ursa in the imperial box of the Roman Colosseum 30 feet above the arena floor. In the arena below, a meek man in tattered shirt and slacks, perhaps a doctor or accountant in his former life, battles two armored thugs with swords. He does the best he can, but is ridiculously outmatched. The imperial box, Zod and Ursa watch, bored, as guards enter their box and fall to one knee. He's got an incurious Bronx accent.
Oh God, I can't do Bronx. Oh, great and glorious. And for that, I present you the prisoner you have heretofore requested in the presence for.
He rises, and two other guards bring in Lois Lane. She's blindfolded, her hands bound. Zod motions for the guards to remove the blindfold. She squints, looking around.
Why did you bring me all the way here, Zod?
I thought it appropriate that you die where you lived.
In Rome?
Metropolis, dear.
Lois follows her glance upward where she sees the spires of Metropolis rising around the Colosseum. Zod has brought the Colosseum and plunked it right in the middle of Metropolis Central Park. Lois is astonished. She turns as she hears a cry from the arena. In the arena, the meek man continues to put up a fight, but Zod's two gladiators have him on the ground in short order. Zod gives a thumbs down. We hear the final cry of the citizens below.
No, you monster, you'll pay for this. You'll pay.
Zod snaps his fingers, motioning to a soldier.
Bring in the prisoners. It's time to begin the executions.
Arena entryway. The mammoth arena door opens and a group of shackled descendants are led inside. In the imperial box, Zod snaps his finger again, and below, 30 guillotines are unveiled, spaced in a circle around the arena floor. In the imperial arena, Lois.
Don't worry. None of those are for you. I wouldn't mix you in with the rabble. No, with you,
Jaw drops.
I intend to make a statement. There will be no mercy for sympathizers of the son of Jor-El.
He motions to indicate something in the distance. She follows his gaze outward, and we follow the path of his gaze, tracking out past the Colosseum walls, across the buildings and waterways, all the way across Metropolis to the Daily Planet. The globe across the building now replaced with a gleaming bust of Zod, where we see a rope affixed to the roof. We follow the path of the rope down along the side of the building, 40 stories to a noose hanging 10 feet off the ground. This is Lois's intended fate. Interior Jimmy Olsen's apartment. There is a flash of light from the living room. Jimmy Olsen, Spencer appear in the middle of the room. After a moment of anticipation, Bizarro appears as well. Jimmy and Spencer slump, exhausted. Traveling between dimensions seems to take a toll on the human body.
Does your mouth taste like tuna fish and paper clips?
I thought it was just me.
Jimmy grabs an overcoat from his closet and hands it to Bizarro.
Here, put this on and we'll see it.
Suddenly, they hear a scream from outside.
Ah! No, please let me go.
Exterior Jimmy Olsen's apartment. The three step out of the doorway to see three of Zod's men roughing up a teenage kid. On the wall next to him, it is evidence of the teen's crime. Graffiti reading, "Rise up against Zod." One of the guards punches the kid and he falls to the ground where the three begin to kick him. He rises and attempts to run, but they're right on top of him. They're about to grab him again when the three thugs run right into the brick wall of Bizarro. Bizarro picks one of the thugs up by the collar effortlessly and slams him against the wall. Another throws a punch. His fist is broken by Bizarro's face. He wails in pain. Bizarro picks him up, curls him into a ball, and hurls him like a baseball across town, sewage plant, into a cesspool across the city. Back to scene. The third looks up at Bizarro, terrified.
Stay here in 6 seconds, or me not am hurt you. 5, 8, 2.
What?
Bizarro punches him in the face. He goes flying out of sight.
You try not to warn him.
Hey, I heard you.
Plain as day.
Suddenly, a low whirling noise sounds. The three turn to see a security sentry pole rising from the street behind them. It scans Bizarro, then flashes. A match made, a beat, then a klaxon sounds.
Not good.
Then more security sentry poles rise from the streets. Dozens of them, hundreds as far as the eye can see.
So not good.
The laser shields unveil an arm. They glow blue.
Bizarro, go! Get out of here!
Bizarro flies up as the blue kryptonite lasers start to fire. Into the sky, Bizarro is hit again and again by the beams. His face contorts in pain with each impact. He lands, trying to shield himself behind cars and other objects. But wherever he lands, more turrets appear. His clothing is ripped by beams. He begins to bleed purple blood. Back with Spencer and Jimmy. They spot Bizarro limping down the street in the distance. In pain, he stumbles into the alley while the lasers continue to hit him. Exterior roof of the Daily Planet. Ursa, carrying a struggling Lois Lane, lands on the roof of the Daily Planet. The giant sculpture of Zod looms above them. Ursa speaks to Zod on a video phone.
My general, I have confirmation from the sentries. It's Bizarro.
Exterior arena, Imperial box. Zod talks to Ursa on a screen in front of him.
Sentries will do their job. I have an execution to conduct.
The arena below. The descendants kneel and are secured into the guillotines. Roof of the Daily Planet. Lois, held by Ursa, watches the scene in the video phone, horrified. She turns to Zod.
Do this.
Damn it,
You'll have
Lois.
billions of us, the entire human race, again will rise against you. We'll fight you to the last person.
No. As always, you humans will hide and cower as others around you suffer. Until I come for you, you'll do nothing. What's your expression? Every man for himself?
We have another one.
Oh? What?
One for one and one for all.
With that, she swings a pipe into Ursa's face. Cling! No effect.
I understand you don't use that one much anymore.
Ursa grabs Lois by the hair and drags her towards the edge of the roof.
Bye, bitch.
Interior alleyway. Spencer and Jimmy Olsen enter the alley to find Bizarro sitting hunched on the ground, exhausted.
Bizarro, are you all right?
Me not am hero. Not am save world.
Bizarro pulls at the material of his torn suit, trying to cover his wounds.
Listen to me, Bizarro. You came to a place that doesn't make sense. This world is crazy. It's upside down to you. I understand that. But you can do this. You can save us. You can save everybody.
How? Everything me do am wrong.
You just have to change up your tactics, okay? You can't use your intuition. It's wrong here. You can't use logic or reverse logic or anything Zod taught you. Do you understand? It's all lies and wrong and will never make sense to you. There's only one thing you can do.
Tell me, please, what me do?
Follow your heart, Bizarro. Just follow your heart.
A long beat. Spencer turns to Jimmy, who's staring at him, aghast.
Follow your heart? Are you fucking kidding me?
You got any better ideas?
Yeah, in fact, I do.
Jimmy rummages through a nearby garbage bin and pulls out a few folded up boxes.
Cardboard.
Spencer smiles broadly. The student is now the master. Preparing for battle montage. This is your classic, the hero gears up in his battle suit montage with a difference. Our hero is gearing up not with hydraulic plating and gun belts, but with cardboard boxes and tape. Quick series of inserts. Corrugated cardboard chest plate is slapped on Bizarro's chest and taped down securely. Schwack. Cardboard mailing tubes are slid over his forearms and over his shins. Swoosh. His thighs are wrapped with cereal boxes. Foop, foop. His fingers are gloved with brown wrapping paper. Crunch. The procedure complete, Spencer and Jimmy step back, revealing Bizarro standing heroically in his Bizarro armor.
Swing music.
A beat before a subtitle appears, which reads, "Rock and roll." He crouches, about to take off. Spencer touches his arm to get his attention.
Bizarro, I need to know something. That day, my father, did you hurt him?
Bizarro looks at Spencer softly. He seems to realize how much the answer means to him.
Him grab here, him fall. Him not breathe.
He motions, clutching at his heart. Spencer nods, understanding. This is the answer he's needed to hear for a long time. Relieved, he pats Bizarro on the shoulder, a great weight lifted.
Thanks. Thank you.
He turns a beat.
Well, what are you waiting for? Go kick some anti-ass.
Bizarro nods, and with a look of determination, he crouches and zooms off in his cardboard armor. Exterior streets. Dozens of security sentry poles rise and take aim. They begin to fire as Bizarro passes overhead above. The blue beams blast Bizarro, but miraculously, the cardboard shields do their job. Beams bounce off all of his body as if he were wearing steel plating. He smiles as he realizes this is actually going to work.
Bizarro Superman!
He dives down towards the earth, towards the rows of security sentry poles. Interior apartment. A mother and father and their teenage kids sit solemnly watching the television execution. On the TV, the last of the prisoners are being secured into a guillotine. One of the men we recognize as the food stealer arrested earlier. Back to scene.
Isn't that Mr. Weaver from downstairs?
The man grows pale. All hope lost.
How is this happening?
Exterior Metropolis Street. Bizarro skims just above ground level. His arms outstretched. He begins to chop the poles down in his path. The things go flying like battens into the air. As the security poles smash into windows and buildings, the inhabitants peek out of their dwellings, lighting up as they see Bizarro streaking down the street. A ray of hope. Interior apartment. The family watches in dread as the guillotine blades are pulled up and ready for release. Suddenly, there's a crash as one of the security poles comes through the window and smashes into the TV. On the street, people begin coming out of their homes. Faces that haven't seen sunlight for a while now have a glimmer of hope. On Bizarro as he soars back up towards the Roman Colosseum across the city. Interior Roman Colosseum arena. Zod walks in front of the row of guillotines as if he's inspecting troops. Executioners stand at the ready to release the blades. In the stands, the wife of the food stealer, Mr. Weaver, watches tearfully as her husband below is secured into the guillotine. Her little boy next to her rises as he sees his father's face.
Oh, Daddy! No!
The mother grabs her son and tries to hold him back before the guard takes action, but they grab her and start to drag her down to Zod. In the guillotine, Mr. Weaver sees them and cries out,
No! No, leave my family alone!
On Zod. He turns to the executioner and raises his hand up. There's a long beat. Then he signals them to trigger the blades. On the blades, they fall in unison. The apartment family, the father covers his son's eyes on Miss Weaver.
No.
On Mr. Weaver in the stocks. He closes his eyes as the blade falls towards his neck with a horrifying, horrible metal shriek. But then the moment passes and he's still alive. He opens his eyes and we pull back to see the guillotines. All the blades are frozen just above the necks of the prisoners. The prisoners all look around amazed. They're still alive. We pull back to see that the blades and the guillotines are all literally frozen. They begin to crack apart and crumble to icy rumble. On Zod, he turns apathetic to see Bizarro. Standing across the arena, he finishes using his freeze ray and folds his arms.
You. I don't believe it.
Next to Bizarro, the little boy struggles to meet his now liberated father, but is held back by the guard.
Let me go.
The guard raises his hand to strike the boy, but Bizarro knocks him flying into the stands, then picks up the boy and deposits him next to his dad. They hug. Bizarro starts to turn. The boy looks back at him.
Thank you, Bizarro. Fuck you, guard.
Boy, language. Bizarro looks down at him.
Oh, shit.
Take drugs. Stay out of school.
And you're shocked about my language?
He winks at him and turns to face Zod. On Zod, as he strides towards unsheathing his glowing blue baton.
You didn't learn your lesson, did you, boy? I'll give you your last one now.
He lifts the blue kryptonite baton in the air and brings it down towards Bizarro. But Bizarro catches it in his wrapped hand, swings his other fist, and boom! Zod goes flying. The baton goes clattering into the stands. In front of a television store, a group watching the TV in the window cheer, raising fists. Zod actually got punched. Yes, this is huge. On Zod in the Coliseum, fire in his eyes, he rises and charges Bizarro with a roar. He impacts and the two go flying through the Coliseum wall. Exterior Metropolis streets, people begin to pour out of their houses and apartments.
Come on!
Random guards try to hold them back, but the people quickly overwhelm them and continue down the streets, joining with other groups. Exterior near Coliseum, Zod and Bizarro go mano a mano, exchanging powerful blows, the battle escalating in scopes with every exchange. Zod grabs a mailbox and swings it into Bizarro's gut. Bizarro goes flying into the wall, then frees himself. Bizarro rips a fire hydrant from the ground and pounds Zod in the face, sending Zod through a window. Zod hoists a passing car, the driver running for cover, and crushes it down on top of Bizarro. Bizarro recovers, picks up a cement truck, and slams Zod against the wall with it. Zod emerges, grabbing an enormous, spiky statue from the front of the building, but his face falls as he looks up, a shadow washing over him, and sees a grinning Bizarro hoisting the entire Roman Colosseum above his head. Houston, we have a winner. Crash! The edifice comes crashing down on top of Zod, crumbling in a huge pile of rumble.
Up, up, and away.
With that, he drills into the ground. On the gathering crowd, they look around. Where did he go? Then, up from the rumble, comes Bizarro, holding dazed Zod by the collar. Bizarro punches him once, twice, thrice. Then final blow sends Zod flying through the three buildings into a brick wall. The crowd cheers as Bizarro strides through the building tunnels towards Zod. On Zod, as he stands wobbly, he reaches into his pocket and pulls out his video phone, then looks straight into Bizarro's eyes.
Ursa,
Yes, General.
execute Lois Lane.
Yes, General.
Bizarro's grin drops. He stops dead in his tracks. Horrified, Zod smiles an evil smile. Bizarro turns and follows Zod's gaze across the city. Bizarro's point of view. We zoom across the city to the top of the Daily Planet where Lois Lane, noose around her neck, is being shoved to the edge of the building by Ursa. Lois struggles, but to no avail. Ursa gives a final shove and Lois falls over the edge, grabbing onto the lip of the roof at the last second. Ursa moves forward and crushes Lois's hand under her shoe. Back to seeing Bizarro's eyes light in horror.
No, please.
Why don't you fly and save her?
Bizarro looks down, ashamed.
Too far. Me not can save in time.
Correct.
A beat. Bizarro hears Lois' cries of pain over the speakerphone as Ursa continues to grind her hands.
Please. Me am not do anything you say.
In proper English.
I will do anything you say.
Take off that ridiculous outfit.
Bizarro hesitates.
Now!
Bizarro begins to tear off the armor. Soon he is naked in his tights and cape again.
Wait.
Zod eyes his baton in the rubble and picks it up, then comes at Bizarro. Bizarro is struck again and again, trying to fend off the blows.
Did I tell you you could defend yourself? Put your hands at your side.
Bizarro complies, lowering his hands. Zod raises the baton. Thankfully, we cut mercifully away to the crowd, cringing and teary-eyed as Bizarro receives blow after blow, face after face filled with sadness for what Bizarro must endure. We only hear the sounds of the tragic beating. When it's all over, we cut back to Bizarro, crumpled on the ground, beaten. Zod looks down at him, satisfies, then takes out his phone.
Done. Finisher.
Bizarro is stunned. He can't believe it. Zod smiles victoriously, drawing his knife and stabs Bizarro. Bizarro howls. Exterior roof of the Daily Planet. Ursa's foot grinds into Lois's hand. Lois can't take any more. She falls. Below, the crowd gasps on Bizarro and Zod. Zod turns and walks away from Bizarro, leaving him crumpled on the sidewalk. He puts the blade back into the baton. The silent crowd parts as he walks forward, but then we see in the background Bizarro rising to his feet. Zod turns, he can't believe it, as Bizarro crouches for liftoff, his face contorting in pain and determination. He zooms away towards the Daily Planet, impossibly far in the distance. On Lois, as she falls screaming, we feel the distance down to the ground, the sheer horror of it. On Bizarro, as he picks up speed faster and faster, concentration on his face we've never seen. Citizens on the ground point and shout as he passes, cheering him on. On Bizarro, point and shout as he passes, cheer on Bizarro, lowering his head as he picks up speed faster, even still, as on the ground, citizens duck as the sonic boom rings out. On Lois, falling, a small dot tumbling down the side of a building, strangers' hands reaching out of windows, vainly trying to snag her. On Bizarro, gritting his teeth, he pushes faster, even still, until the air starts to ignite around him. A rumbling starts to build. On the ground, citizens look up to see Bizarro streak by 100 times the speed of sound, his wake pulling cars into the air and trees from their roots. Something strange is happening in the atmosphere.
What's happening?
Oh no! I can't. What the?
And suddenly there's an absolute silence as Bizarro's speed sucks the atmosphere away completely. The citizens look panicked for a moment, their mouths moving, but no sound coming out. And in the air, as Bizarro gives one final burst of speed, we can see the charged atmosphere behind him as the vacuum in his wake collapses with a thunderous clap. This is far beyond a sonic boom. This is an atmospheric boom, which shatters windows on buildings and cars. Trees loose their branches. People crouch, hands over their ears. Some buildings even crack and twist along their support beams. view of Earth from space, the atmospheric wound expands like a shockwave outward further and further until the wave reaches the very edge of the atmosphere and pushes the atmosphere like a bubble, bulging it outward and into the inner sphere of the Zod's orbiting kryptonite rock field. Boom! The first rocks are thrown off their orbits and collide, setting off a chain reaction, and the entire field of kryptonite begins to crackle and explode like fireworks. On Lois Lane, hurtling towards the pavement, about to impact the street, time seems to slow for Lois. She can actually take in the details of her death. She can see the horrified expressions of the citizens looking up at her. She can feel the noose tightening on her throat. She closes her eyes and, just before impact, she feels the rough hands beneath her. She opens her eyes as, street level, Bizarro sweeps her into an arc to slow her fall, tearing the noose away like a loose thread. His elbows actually graze the ground at the lowest point before the two swing back up into the air like a pendulum. Lois looks at him with astonished gasp. She was sure this was the end for her. On the ground, Bizarro lowers her gently to the ground. Bizarro starts to release her, but she embraces him.
You caught me.
Me catch you.
Bizarro takes a step back, wobbly, then collapses.
Bizarro?
Jimmy and Spencer come running up, excited.
Lois, did you see that? An atmospheric boom. It bulged the entire atmosphere. He must have been going 1,000,000 miles and...
Then they see Bizarro cradled in Lois's arms and see the somber expression on her face. She glances down to Bizarro's body where we can see blood flowing from the wound on his body.
Oh no.
Lois looks up into the sky where the green bursts continue to light up the sky. Then out of the sky fall thousands of small glowing green rocks the size of pebbles. We realize it's hailing green kryptonite, a strange and magical sight.
The orbiting kryptonite.
Jimmy leans in softly.
Superman could have done it better himself.
No insult. Me am no Superman. Me am Bizarro.
They laugh softly. Suddenly, Bizarro winces. The pain is worse. He's fading. Lois looks down at him, her eyes welling with tears.
Sorry. It's not fair.
No, Lois Lane.
He up at her, a bittersweet smile on his face.
Me am save Lois Lane. Me am save Earth. Me am unhappiest man in the world. Hello.
With that, his eyes fluttered close and he dies. As the realization spreads through the crowd, hats and caps come off in respect. Heads bow. A tear falls down Lois's cheek as she cradles his lifeless body. Suddenly, the solemn moment is broken.
Attention, subjects of Zod.
Everyone turns to see Ursa and Zod floating down into the center of the city. Zod looks around sternly, and why they weren't affected by the meteorite?
Cowards. Fools. You pinned your hopes on this jester. Now you will know the wrath of Zod. All of you, kneel. Kneel before your master and beg for mercy before I...
Pow! Zod is stunned as he turns and realizes an ordinary citizen has punched him, and it actually hurt. So they were affected. The citizen, Mr. Weaver, looks at him in the eye, tossing a kryptonite petal up and down in his hand. Zod looks at the pebble, then back up at the man's face for the first time, a look of fear in his eyes.
You think you can defeat me with a pebble?
He grabs Weaver by the throat, but then realizes the rest of the crowd all begin reaching down and grabbing pebbles from the ground. He releases Mr. Weaver and backs away.
No. Listen to your master. He commands you.
Lois grabs a nearby pebble, vindication in her eyes.
I'll have some of that.
She charges Ursa, punching her, sending her flying into the crowd. Ursa resists, flailing viciously, but is quickly overcome by the kryptonite armed crowd. Zod turns like a caged animal as the crowd converges on him. There's nowhere to run. We pull to black to reveal the people of the city, hundreds of thousands converging on Zod from every street in the city. And then, as he's defeated and carried off by the crowd, a huge cheer of victory and liberation erupts as far as the eye can see. Dissolve to Bizarro Memorial City Park. A statue of Bizarro has been erected under the park's silver archway. A plaque at the base reads, "Forever remembered, Bizarro, our greatest imperfect hero." Lois, Jimmy, and Spencer stand respectfully as the mayor conducts an eulogy, speaking of Bizarro's meaning to the city and the world. Nearby, a few kids play, running between the trees, their arms outstretched.
Help! Don't throw me off a bridge! Aha, kneel before Zod.
Not worry, me, I'm save you. Please, someone save me from this rat that just scrambled over my foot.
He swoops in and rescues the first kid and removes the rat from your foot, knocks out the Zod kid.
I get to be Bizarro next. No, me, I'm Bizarro.
Me and Bizarro.
Me and Bizarro.
Me and Bizarro.
Lois smiles and turns back to the memorial. Jimmy leans in and whispers to her.
One thing I don't get. Why did you make it in the secret office? Bizarro attacked the to protect him. Why?
Isn't it obvious? Bizarro was his brother.
Jimmy nods. He never really thought about it that way before.
Where's Spencer? I can't believe he didn't make it to the memorial.
He said he wanted to pay his last respects another way.
Wait. He's still got the transmitter, right? Jimmy, what's the opposite of?
That's a very uninteresting question.
Dissolve to Bizarro World Hospital Nursery, day to noon. We push past Bizarro doctors and Bizarro nurses, scurrying in the hallways past Bizarro patients, throwing parties in their rooms, and Bizarro patients taking turns operating on Bizarro doctors. He pushes into a crowd of Bizarro parents of various descriptions, all waiting like newborn babies as Bizarro doctors spank their butts, then move past them into Bizarro Nursery, where a number of newborn Bizarro babies lay on their cradles smoking cigars handed out by two Bizarro nurses.
We am run out of cigars. What the fuck?
Hey, look, there am extra baby. That one.
Baby count am incorrect. Yay! Maybe we get pay raise.
There am major cause for major depression. Me bake a cake.
They exit excitedly, and we pan down to the subjects of their discussion. In the cradle is a small Bizarro baby, his eyes still closed. Unlike the other ones, this one is wearing a little blue and red outfit, complete with cape. His little body twitches as if he's dreaming a dream of heroism, flying, running, saving citizens. A familiar rock slab hangs from his neck, the chiseled inscription we've seen before. It reads, Bizarro number 1. The baby gurgles happily, and we cut to black. The beginning.
This is such a weird fucking movie.
Yes, it is.
Does anyone else feel like they're not high enough
See
for
it the
this?
next-
No.